Data points coming through here to kick things off on a Friday morning. Building permits for the month of July in the U.S. downside ever so slightly. The forecast 1.45 million comes out 1.396 million again for the month of July. We also got housing starts there 1.238 million versus slightly higher print expected there 1.32 million. Coming up at 10 o'clock this morning, just keep in mind Michigan consumer sentiment. There is, of course, an inflation portion to that number. It has been less and less important as months have gone by here, but just keep that in mind. Mark that down again. 10 o'clock, there's a 5-year and a 1-year inflation expectation number to come along with that. Overall, the market's selling off here a little bit to kick things off. Was positive back to 0.4 to the downside for the NASDAQ right now, S&P 0.3. JD.com you saw there to the upside in a pretty big way. 2 days in a row here. ADR is moving around. We'll touch on JD Baba as well earlier this week, but nice start. That's yesterday, and today they're adding to gains that we saw actually hold up nicely by the close there yesterday, 3% right now. For JD.com, overall the market, as I mentioned, downside ever so slightly. Rivian on watch here this morning. Big day yesterday. They come out this morning and saying they're going to have to pause the production and pause deliveries as a result of the Amazon delivery van because of a parts shortage for the time being. So one of the problems that Rivian's been dealing with over its history is supply chain. So here we go again. Adara sitting in for Sharif with the day off today.
Good morning. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah, I think that the Rivian certainly interesting there. Bloomberg reporting that, but Amazon actually telling Bloomberg that they're not seeing this as a long-term issue. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, their biggest contract by far and continues to be their biggest source of revenue by far, the Amazon contract. So not a good look for Rivian, guys, but the market continuing downside here after pretty big couple of days. Tech-led rally. Is it going to continue?
Well, we'll see, everybody. And what's interesting is Adara came in and was like, oh, we're going to get a free fall Friday. And I was like, that term, I feel like it's an overused one because the way the market would rally this week, to me, if you didn't fall more than 5%, you couldn't really even call it a free fall the way that we've moved the last couple of weeks. It would have to be something over the top epic. I mean, literally, we'd have to be 4 or 5 points before you're convincing me it's a free fall. Like, you'd just be giving back yesterday if you went a couple of points to the downside on the NASDAQ. So maybe it's that. We got to the August highs after overnight here on the NASDAQ. A lot of things got to some tops. I mean, Meta got to within spitting distance again of its 52 weeks high. So, there could be some profit taking. It was a ridiculous run. Nvidia was like 39% from last Monday. And that was just, the Qs were like 13%. So it's been an unbelievable rally the last couple of weeks. Could we let off some steam? That would not surprise me one bit. Right now, the market's already starting to pull back. You got Nvidia almost 121. Tesla all the way back into down 1% on Tesla, down into the 212 level. So, yeah, we're already getting a little bit of it. That means volatility's here, which is always going to be fun, Sean.
Yeah, you're down 2% on Nvidia right now. So, I mean, that's starting to go right now. Yeah, I just looked. I actually just put into Gemini about days of the week theories for the NASDAQ, and it says Friday is typically a strong day. So that's what it said. It said Monday's a weaker day, Friday's a strong day with mixed results in the middle of the week. That's what Gemini spit out there. So free fall Friday, definitely not a thing, but doesn't mean it can't happen. I mean, the market can fall down on any day. Maybe it was just saying that because of last Monday. Or 2 Mondays ago, how dramatic that was. But anyways, yeah, this is just a longer term period here for the NASDAQ. And I just want to say, like, I mean, you came up to something again here at 19.8. We can go back for a minute. We don't need to. But I mean, yeah, you're going to come up to some kind of resistance levels at some point. And the market is fine to cool down. I mean, it's a huge move, as Neil mentioned. 18,000 at the beginning of the week, ending the week at 19.6. I mean, that's pretty historic right there on a nice little run. Hitting the 50-period moving average wouldn't surprise me. These little blue marks are just little intraday VWAPs that will start up again in the middle of the day. I should probably just include those to connect the dots. But right there, I'm looking at the 50-period moving average. I don't actually normally use VWAP on a 30-minute chart, so that's strange it's there even. But 1930 right there, so 19,300 is the 50-period moving average. So that would be another 200 points down. So the NASDAQ could, breach that 1% mark, get down into that area, and we'll see what happens from there. So for me, It's a NASDAQ kind of day today. Once again, Nvidia, as we mentioned, making the move down. Intel, I thought, was still holding out okay. We'll double check that at $20.50. Apple spitting a little bit too. I mean, this is what's going to happen. Apple, I mean, look how many straight days this was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, almost 10 days today. 9 straight days roughly to the upside rate there. So yeah, it was, it'll be a fun one here today, and it should be break out the magic 8-ball for what? We asked it something yesterday, and I forget what it said.
Shoot, we gave it a softball. No, I know what it was.
Something report more than a certain percent.
No, we asked the Magic 8-Ball if someone on this show, not all day long, would trade AMAT today. Right. And the Magic 8-Ball gave a hell no for that one. So I think as far as I'm concerned, I don't have any plans on trading AMAT. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I knew neither one of us was likely to trade AMAT. There's a host of, you know what? There's a lot of good chip names to trade. And there was one of them, just only because when I was pulling up the charts of the chip names, I was a little bit surprised that Micron might have had the cleanest move, simply because of where it came from, like how it broke and where it bounced. Like, it essentially just yesterday held $100. Well, late on Wednesday, it held $100, and then it essentially just held 101 here, broke out 102, which is the previous day's high. And there isn't a single tick. Since it broke 102, there's not a tick underneath 102. It was clean. $100 the day before, at 101, right in the pre-market, breaks 102 and goes to 108. There's a few little red candles in there as hints. But yeah, Micron had a fantastic day. But there's a bunch of names you can look at in the chip space. Nvidia, AMD. Obviously, AMD had a good day along with Nvidia. Micron had a fantastic day. Even Intel was up. So the fact that AMAT is down a couple of points here, now 3 points, doesn't make it one that I'll necessarily want to trade. But I would be, if this were to go green, let's imagine a world in which AMAT goes green today. Yeah, that would be a fantastic sign, I think. If the name that reported that, I don't think it's causing the pullback. I think sometimes it can just be an excuse. I feel like if AMAT blew things out of the water, maybe you'd be flat to up today. But if that name somehow goes green, I wouldn't want to be fighting anything to the short side if I was in the chip space. But this will be a no-fly zone for me. I'm going to add, I took ARM off my list of stocks to watch, at least for today, to throw Micron on there in case we see a strong trend, just based on the massive move that it had yesterday. Easiest way to predict where the good moves are going to be is look where they were the day before. It's a good place to start.
All right, Michael Noss coming up here in a couple of minutes. We're going to talk on some ideas that he mentioned on Monday. If anyone was watching the after show, specifically on Monday, he mentioned a few trade ideas. He's going to go the other direction today, so reversion type ideas, but back to the downside. I'll get to him in a second. I was just reading a note here on Riley, R-I-L-Y, B. Riley Financial, the company CEO proposing to buy out the rest of what he apparently already doesn't own at $7 a share. So Riley, R-I-L-Y, just popping up there about 20% or so. $7 a share, there's a buyout offer. It looks like a terrible price, as this thing was $40 at the beginning of the year. So heads up on that. Somebody just commenting on that. But yeah, we'll get to Mr. Noss here. Just hearing a couple of things on Chinese ADRs as well. Moving around, they're pretty strong today, but I mean, not a lot of volume behind any of these moving around right now. We'll look at that a little bit more, but let's bring in Michael Noss for a wrap up of what has been a pretty exciting week here. Mr. Noss, we're going into an important week next week as well with the Jackson Hole Symposium coming up next week. We'll hear from all kinds of Fed type people again. So the market overall might be in focus. But that being said, pretty impressive bounce back here, specifically around tech, specifically around semiconductors. I mean, 17% in a week here for Nvidia, SMH up, something similar here. Might be a little bit heated, to say the least, at this point. What are we looking at as far as maybe trying to play something back downside?
Yeah, and this is going to continue with my theme of that. I think we're in for chop for a period of time, and I think the first few charts that I brought kind of hammer that opinion, and especially this first chart I'm going to show you guys a lot, I think, over the next few months. I think it's good for a couple of reasons. A, what do we expect? And B, to be okay with chop. So this is, the blue line is simply every election year, so every fourth year of the S&P 500 averaged over since 1950 till this year. So what happens on average as the market moves for the S&P 500, again, on years like this, where there's an election in the US coming up. And you can see actually where it says all election years since 1950, right on the chart, that is August, September. And you can see that we experience usually a top and some choppy action, a little bit of a pullback, some sort of kind of craziness. I just look at this as a bit of a choppy mess until November, where when the election's over, everyone knows what person gets in. Doesn't seem to really matter who that is. I have a whole bunch of charts on that. Doesn't matter which side wins, but it's more the market just wants to know. And until then, there's not really a lot of hedge funds and large institutions and people that move the markets committing one way or the other. So that combined with this next chart that just shows, yes, we had this massive drop off, and every day since then, it seems like a massive rally. And that could continue for a long period of time. We could just break through new all-time highs and have things just continue just the way they were. I just don't think that that's the highest probability event. I think more likely we're going to go to that seasonality chart where things are chopping around. And, we had the drop that we saw again in that chart. And I wouldn't be shocked if, we come close or even break all-time highs by a little bit and then chop back down and just do this kind of non-committal action until November when everything kind of decides. So that's why on Monday, I gave you guys one of my favorite strategies for revision to the mean. That was just gap fills, looking for stocks that come in and they fill a gap and looking for them to bounce. I just looked and pretty much all of those are pretty much right where they were or a little bit higher. So it's working fantastically so far. Now, to continue this theme of revision to the mean, the stocks that I'm going to give you guys now are stocks that are from another scan. Again, you can go to trade-ideas.com and go to tradeadeas.com/tradertv to check it out, or email me or X or whatever down below there, and I can get this to you. And what this is looking for is the 200-day moving average, and it's looking for the slope of the 200-day moving average. So we're looking for stocks that are bouncing into a downward sloping or flat 200-day moving average. And it's just a nice, repeatable, simple pattern with simple risk and reward rules. You can see on the screen here, we have EXAS, and I've just highlighted 3 times. One is right now, but the other 2 times we bounced up to this downward sloping 200-day moving average. We chopped around there for a period of time. And this is where the discretion of the trade would come in. As it breaks down and pulls off that 200-day moving average, you have a nice push down here twice. Question is, will we do it again? So that's very much the play here. Is I'm looking for some sort of pattern break or some sort of support break on EXAS, maybe even breaking into the gap or something like that. And then your stop is quite easily, hey, if we move too far above this 200-day moving average, it's time to get out because maybe the trend has changed. So again, a very simple setup. I very much like this one for revision to the mean to the downside. And I have 2 more setups on top of this EXAS. One is AMC, don't hate me, but AMC has been below its 200-day moving average for years and years and years, and it's been so far away from it. You can see that it's just coming into the chart now. It's been so far away for an incredibly long time. So this one, again, it's chopping around this 200-day moving average. So if we have a pull off it the way we had a couple weeks, you can see just in the recent past, that could be a good push down. I also just drew a horizontal line. That's a long-term support. That's sitting around $5, give or take. We lose that, we could continue lower in this name that, it obviously, if you look at the monthly chart in the corner there, has been in a massive downtrend. And again, we're looking to continue that downtrend. We're just not looking to short into new lows. We're looking to play these, buy the dip, sell the rip. Last but not least here, we have CME. So these are the guys who do all the futures and a lot of the options out there. And what I liked about this chart is you can see the 200-day moving average prior actually acted as support. And we pulled back to it, and we bounced off it. And then we actually spent some time chopping around it. And when we broke through it, it was a pretty decisive move. So now we're bouncing back up. The 200-day moving average has just recently turned lower. So we're bouncing back up to that. We're a little bit extended up into that range of the 200-day moving average. So if we continue to pull off this, again, I like this one because my stop would just go over this last swing high. And again, the trade's easy. So again, just more of the theme, and I'm probably going to bring more over the coming weeks of, I think we're in a buy the dip, sell the rip kind of environment. I like trend trading way better because you can buy something, and if you're right, you can hold it for days or weeks or months. Just know when you're counter trend trading like this, I go a little bit shorter term. I'm looking for a couple days of action, and if I don't get a winner in a couple days, I'm out. It's a different environment. It's a faster environment for us swing traders, but I just think that's what we're going to be in until the election's settled and the market knows who won, and then we can move on from there.
A lot of people going to be looking at some of the high-flying tech names saying, these have gone way too far, too fast. Mm-hmm. A lot of eyeballs on those types of stocks, a lot of institutional eyeballs on those types of stocks. Maybe just talk a little bit about why not, focus elsewhere versus focusing on some of these highly traded, highly watched names that have also made those huge moves higher, maybe looking for a reversion type trade.
Well, I think it's all going to come down to that S&P 500 chart that I showed, right? The S&P 500, especially the cap-weighted version, which is what I showed there, is already going to represent a lot of those names. If you take a look at Nvidia or Apple or Microsoft, they look pretty much exactly like this. And when market volatility increases, these types of names, the names that are heavily weighted in the market, they get very, very correlated to the market itself. So if you're looking to trade Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, all of these, personally, I would just take a look at the S&P 500 as a whole because you're going to get about the same movement. It may not be to the same scale. It may not be, to the same size, but it gets really heavily correlated to this. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to hunt for names that are uncorrelated and relatively weak, right? I don't want to buy the strongest names out there. What I want to look is as this market is rallying, that's why the market's, and on that chart, I have the 200-day moving average. The market's well above the 200-day moving average, never got anywhere close, right? So the fact that, one, that these names are really, really correlated to the market, and two, the relative weakness in these names makes me want to focus on things that are below the 200-day moving average, and the 200-day moving average is sloping lower. It's a very easy way to kind of quantify relative weakness, right? Again, this 200-day moving average on the SPY has been uptrending for an incredibly long period of time. So if you're below a 200-day moving average and you're below a 200-day moving average that's sloping downwards, then compared to the market, you're just not a company that the market is interested in owning at all.
Great time of year to have a look at maybe how things have gone to date. If anyone's looking for doing some back testing or so over the next couple of weeks, grab a copy of Trade Ideas. Trader TV 20 gets you 20% off. Shout out to Michael Nosh. You can hit him up on Twitter, as you see at the bottom there, at Michael Nosh CMT. Have a wonderful weekend, sir. We'll see you on Monday.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Thank you, Michael. Looking sharp. Some give you 5, some give you 10. Trader TV 20 gives you 20% off, which we always love.
Always the best.
What's so cool about this, and I love, I love when we have Michael on, is as he was saying that about the downward sloping 200-period moving average, I was like, I remember this conversation that I had with Brian Shannon with regards to Tesla when it was breaking out $200 and its 200-period moving average, and it's almost perfect here because if we can come to my chart for quickly. Tesla, obviously it's back above the 200 period, but this was back here when we were breaking out. It was downward sloping, had moved into a downward slope actually after testing this high. And this is exactly where he said, hey, watch out for that level because you got a downward sloping 200 period moving average and it's going to go into its first big resistance. And that could be a sign where sellers start to come back in. So a lot to work with today. I feel today, there's a few names that are at some 50 periods that are going to come into play, and Tesla being one of them. We talked about this with Danielle Shea last night in the aftermarket show. Great to have her back. Got her thoughts on Tesla, and one of those was, hey, we're trying to close above the 50-period moving average on a Friday when the market's rallied a bunch. Could be a little bit of trouble up here, but would love to see Tesla hold on to that 215. Spoiler alert, for now, we have not hung on to that 215. A triple top 216. It's going to be interesting. I kind of had that one for a fade unless we're breaking out the top there on Tesla. Let's get some upgrades and downgrades from ADR over at the green screen.
Actually, a lot of really interesting names on this list to wind down the week. Starting with Cisco getting this upgrade from SPCE after its earnings on Wednesday. Nike's had quite the week. Now it's getting this upgrade from sell to buy by Williams Trading. Price target increased from $67 to $93. We have Illumina getting an upgrade from Daiwa Capital and Sphere getting upgraded here by JP Morgan. On the downgrade side, kicking off with Lumen, we know this one's been on the move over the last few weeks, getting a downgrade but a price target increase from Wells Fargo and gapping down. Estee Lauder getting a downgrade from BofA Securities ahead of its earnings on Monday, so EL definitely on watch here heading into next week. Bumble getting a downgrade from TD Cowen, price target decrease from $22 to $7.50 here, so BMBL to the downside with that downgrade. Last but not least, Coherus Biosciences getting a downgrade from UBS.
I just realized on my iPad when I'm putting down symbols and writing them, I just realized I didn't look at Nike. I'm like, oh man, Nike, that 83 level. Nike's the only stock that I write the name of the company instead of the stock ticker for whatever reason, obvious reason. Why can't it just be NIKE? I mean, you're a New York symbol. You don't have to be 3 letters anymore. You're now allowed to be 4, which for old heads is a bit annoying. But Nike is trying to fill in the gap here. Upgrade or downgrade, whatever, it doesn't really necessarily matter. It's been strong. The market just pulled back. It's still up 0.25%. It's trying to fill in what was a sizable gap. This is about $83. Not saying you get to 88, but that's where the gap is. The last couple of days have been gap. I don't want to call it a nothing burger yesterday because you did have travel a pretty solid range, but you just sort of ended up where you started in the pre-market, and you look at this 82.5 where we closed, exactly 82.5. If it holds that level, break out the 83. This feels like it can be a bullish one here today, so I'm kind of glad that we saw that on the upgrade downgrade. I'd forgotten about some of the continuation style plays. Looking at BAVA today, didn't forget about that, but might have forgotten about Nike. Upgrade or downgrade doesn't really matter to me. I love the fact that in a move to the downside, this is at least holding green. It's pulling back because everything is pulling back a little bit, but strong week for Nike. It can hold on to 82.5. I like this one to the long side. It's going to test that at the open almost certainly, especially on a Friday.
Yeah, the market's starting to head, I mean, still at the lows. So yeah, I think some of these shorts, that's what I was trying to look for as short. So I don't know. I just saw this Lumen right now on that upgrade or downgrade, sorry, the other way. You know, this 580 area, if it somehow pops, that would be a good little spot there. This is 12% short float. Yeah, big movement to the upside. It was just $2 last week. Makes its way to 8, comes back in, and no surprise that it gets downgraded at this point. Just probably the valuation. We'll just wait to see underneath the 200 period. So I kind of like it. You know, we look at 200 periods and 50-period moving averages, things like that. And right now, I kind of like the short. If we can even take it now against 560, 540, something in and around here, then I think you can have a chance, especially like if the market does crack, people will sell stocks that they have profit in. This could be another sell opportunity. You saw it hold the 200 period right there again as well, right? Danced around it, kind of hovered, broke it through. Now we're just going to trade back underneath. So we were underneath it for about 2 days, and we're underneath it now finally again. So it's been above since the news back on the 6th, and now it's back underneath. So, with a downgrade, this one would make sense to me for a little bit. LUMN, thanks to Derek for pointing that one out, was not on my radar, but Lumen here. We'll have to see if it's borrable. If not, then we'll have to get in there. Watch out, -7%. So you could get that 10% bump as well on a retracement back up. So it has to go down probably another 15 or 20 cents. Then it'll be down 10%, and we'll figure out from there if there's a SSR bounce long.
There's a few of these vaccine names moving around again this morning. I was just reading a note here on BAVA, Bavarian Nordic, to the upside this morning as well. They're listed over in Europe, but This one was the big mover yesterday on this, GeoVax. Huge gap higher. It faded that throughout the day. There's more cases being reported outside of Africa apparently today. So gap higher here for GeoVax, GovX. GOVX is the ticker. We talked about SIGA, SIGA, huge gap down yesterday, rallied all the way back. Unreal. To finish the day basically where it ended the prior day. That was on an FDA note. It was a trial failure. The latest trial from the company on this Mpox vaccine apparently failed, but the stock rallied the entire day anyway.
I saw that in the morning when I was at the desk. It was like, I didn't realize it was down that much. So quite the day, I guess, there for SIGA, but wild that it made back that whole move back up. Lots of small caps certainly on watch this morning as well. Some of the names with more volume going to be these smaller names like CING, Singulate, trying to make a day two move on a European patent for ADHD. So these names definitely could be on watch again today.
Yeah, on a day when there's not a lot of headlines around any of the other bigger names, the smaller names can pop up. Walmart, guys, just seeing a couple of analysts with notes on Walmart got to all-time highs off their report. Downside a little bit here this morning. We're in the gap, but still pretty impressive for not only Walmart, but retailers so far this week.
I feel like if the market's down today, to Adara's point about small caps moving around, we'll get to Walmart in a second. To Adara's point about small caps moving around, if we do end up with a down market, there are moments where the best things, if you're trading to the long side in days like this, if that's what ends up happening, can be things like Sing, which you can throw your pun. Sing is singing to the upside and singing a great, a beautiful tune, up 100%, yada, yada, yada. It actually halted in the afternoon once, and that ended up being a place to dip. It's weird because I've seen it twice ever where a stock halts pretty much exactly at like a previous significant high. Like it ticks this in the pre-market at like 550 something, and then that's exactly where it halts in the afternoon. Like it magically hits a halt band exactly at the previous high from hours before. Whatever, it ends up pulling back, and now you're looking at a $10 move here on Sing. So this one feels like it's the big runner if it can hold above 10. That seems like a very, very daunting task. Lots of sellers up there, but I wouldn't want to be fighting this if it gets above that $10 level. Walmart was very, very strange after about 10 o'clock yesterday. The lack of movement was stark. Let's go to a 15-minute chart. Exemplifies what happened. Like you had the big move up on the earnings, good quarter for them, no complaints, all that kind of stuff. Like nothing really would have stood out for you that you could say was bad. But for whatever reason, it got to $73 and then just stopped really moving. There was a little bit of a late push in the afternoon to go about 40, 50 cents. That ended up getting faded back in. When I see barcode like this, I wrote on my iPad 73 over under. It's a short under if the opening range is under. And maybe it's going to try and fill that gap. 71.33 was the previous 52-week high. That's somewhere in this range in front of the $71 area, obviously. And if we break it out above, as long as the 73 is holding the bid, that seems like it was a good scalp trade at a bare minimum. You had to temper your expectations, I suppose, off that. But in complete hindsight, you could have just been taking that little muted bounce over and over and over again on Walmart and probably done just fine. It's underneath 73 now, which makes it, I think, a bit in the other direction here. The continuation play for me is going to be BABA, which is cresting to try and break out the tops as we speak. Again, market down. I like the things that are trying to go up.
I was going to say Walmart yesterday. I mean, you would think that it was a good report because it gapped up overnight, and I think it was a decent report. They didn't have the greatest Q3 guide. And then we were mentioning this yesterday in the midday that it was sort of just barcoding and not doing too much. And then we could have shorted this break right there at 73.50, which would have been the right trade to do. So now I think I found the short that I like today for Walmart. So, we'll watch out for this name to come back in. Its highest point yesterday was the open, then it sold off all day, right? Pretty much. And so let's just keep on this truck there with the Walmart short. Let me just see what's going on with Amazon quickly as we look at some retail names. All right, so that's basically the same result right now for Amazon as that's pulling back. But Amazon had a much different sort of trajectory yesterday where it went the opposite of Walmart. So Walmart came and said consumer pretty strong. We already knew that. Amazon said thank you very much. We also had good retail numbers yesterday, which bumped this name up to 178. What a great trade Amazon was yesterday. And I don't want to go short necessarily Amazon, but we are down a little bit more than the market right now. Or what's the market down? Yeah, 0.5. So, you're down 50% more here on Amazon as some of these names will continue to pull back here. So, yeah, we're going to look in the retail spot, but I would prefer to be shorting Walmart today than Amazon, just because of the, the sort of the tech bump that could always happen. I'm going to be short Walmart today at some point.
All right, if you haven't done so yet, let's get into everything else we need to know here. Head down to the description of this video. There's a link to the watch list right at the top for you. Hit that, enter your email address, and then we send you that every single morning right to your inbox. Has everything you need to know on it for absolutely nothing every single day. It's free. Go do it. Amazon. We'll talk about tech here to start things off. As we were saying with Michael Noss, if you joined us early on this morning, pretty impressive few days here. Amazon, I just went through all these charts. Amazon looking the most impressive. Downside a little bit here today, but as far as the week is concerned, specifically yesterday, pretty impressive. Not really going to affect Amazon, but there's that Rivian note this morning. I don't know. I've been seeing these bright drop FedEx around Toronto anyways. There's all these bright drop electric delivery trucks now, which I think was the company that, I'll have to double check, but I think is the company that ended up with that USPS contract in the US as well. So Amazon not going to get anything from Rivian for the time being.
Yeah, for the time being, they did say, though, I guess a spokesperson, when contacted for that Bloomberg article, said that it's not a permanent halt. So interesting note there. Tech in general, though, worth noting, tech earnings are not over. So not next week, but the week after next, all on the same day, August 28th, we'll get Nvidia, CrowdStrike, and Salesforce. The day after that, we're going to be getting Dell, I believe. So lots of earnings to be aware of here in the tech space coming up. Semiconductors really strong yesterday as well. We had Broadcom, Nvidia, Micron up all more than 5% of the day. So some interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah, big week to come next week as well with Fed Chair Powell at Jackson Hole. So that's always an eventful day. Google, on the other hand here, just bouncing off 160 or trying to bounce off 160 again. Given that they had their Pixel 9 event this week, yeah, it hasn't really done much here, guys. Looking a little bit worse than the rest even right now.
Yeah, I think if you look at the chart on the 15-minute, it looks worse than the rest. But if you look at it from a standpoint of what's it doing relative to the market here, it's about the same as the overall market. It's worse because what it didn't do on the week, and ultimately, I hate to say I love Google in long term and all that kind of good stuff, but this is one of those names that is as impressive as the rally was or has been the last 2 weeks. It just is never broke back above that previous Friday, like the Friday before we had that big sell Monday or scare Monday, whatever you're calling it. It never got back and broke out this 165, which was the previous week's support, and it's been a resistance ever since. I don't even think we're going to get to that today for a fade on Google. So underneath that, looking shorts, I don't think you stand much of a chance of getting the 165 today. I don't think that's a crazy statement. So when it bounced twice off the 165, zoom it right in. Your support was right in here at 162. Hey, that also happens to be underneath yesterday's high. So I would think that's a fade in front of the 162 if we're even able to pick that one up. And to Sean's point on Amazon, I look back at where this consolidated before that big rally to the upside. It was like 175. It had this good consolidation at the open and then rallied. So if it can bounce off this, I think Amazon's definitely got a chance. I want to pull this up. If we're at 180, I might feel a little bit differently because daily chart, 200 period bounce. You're not going to get to the 50 period likely, but the previous support was pretty much $180 on Amazon before their report. So I think that's where the line of resistance in theory comes, where support turns into resistance at that 180. You're diddling in the middle, which means the 175. I kind of like that for a bounce play. So Amazon, I don't want to turn bearish on it. Google, I think you're shorting pops into 162. If 162 breaks, 165 for sure. Ever since Monday, that's just been the spot. And Google cannot seem to break out while its other cohorts, pretty much to a man, all the other Mag 7 names broke out those highs with the exception of Alphabet.
All right, we're going to go back to the well here. We don't have anything written there for chips besides AMAT, obviously. So we're going to look at Nvidia here, the biggest and the baddest of them all. Continues to go, man. Yesterday was a huge stock for the floor for myself. We're going to go back there. It's worked all week. The longs have been really great. Let's just wait a couple minutes to confirm. The only time we ever lost on Nvidia this week was when we took the long early, and it just kept on cranking lower into 114, believe it or not. And we wound up having the long at 114, so it was all good, but we did take a hit there. Yesterday was, I mean, we can go back and just review everything that we did at all times. You can go over to my Twitter account, at TraderTV, Sean, where we post the trades that we make, and you can see the winners that come from holding and also the losers that come from being impatient sometimes. So this move yesterday, even off the open, 119 down there to 117, that's when we started to buy this thing. We started to buy it on breaks. We bought it on a 120 break yesterday as it went back up to the upside. Then we rebought it here at 122, which took us into there. Then at the end of the day, we ho-hummed another dollar. I think it was 70-cent winner or something right there at the end of the day as well. Big sell imbalance candle right there. I believe it was a buy, but comes in red. Big volume there at the end of the day, 23 million shares going off at the end of the day. So let's make sure we pay attention to that, as it was even larger than the 17 million the day before. All right, so look, that's a sell candle. Today is down. We'll see if there's any sort of correlation with that. If you're looking to be bearish on the name, 122, we're coming up to that level. We've got to come over the chart, Ramin, quickly here, and we'll show this. 122 is where VWAP is, so that could be a short area if you're wanting to do that. I wrote down on the sticky note 120 long. Why? Because that's that same break we had yesterday. So now, falling back in $2, I can feel a little more comfortable trying to buy 120 because there's a little bit of support just from yesterday. So there's a little different situation. It's not like it's a falling knife where we could come back in here and all of a sudden we're long at 119 and then the real bottom is 116, 117. This area here, if we wait and are patient enough to get a 120, then I think we can withhold it down to 119.50. I mean, I think that would be obvious. So let's wait to see what happens here with Nvidia. It is the tech long for me today. Nvidia, and then we're going to talk about Alibaba next.
Yeah, pretty good week for some of these Chinese ADRs. Back to the upside once again this morning. We had Baba downside initially yesterday. Huge recovery for that, all the way up to 82 before it sold off a little bit. 2.8% here this morning. JD.com was higher to start yesterday. Held on to most of those gains, 3% already here for JD. Analysts with opinions mostly to the upside today across the board.
Yeah, we did have both of those companies miss on sales but beat on earnings per share. Alibaba getting two positive analyst notes, price target increases from Baird and JP Morgan. They also are both still part of the Scion Capital, so Michael Burry's fund. They're still definitely both have positions in both of those. I believe Alibaba is their top holding. And more Chinese ADR earnings to come next week, including names like Baidu, Bilibili, and Xpeng.
That's Zeekr, too, I think.
Yeah, Zeekr as well. Yeah, Zeekr.
Coming up, that latest addition to the EV side of things, but not really a highly traded name, guys.
They're fun. We'll see what happens with them next week. But Alibaba, that's the one that does the biggest volume on a regular basis here. And yesterday, knowing that 81 stalled out at 82, like the 81 long did not get 78 to a line there, but it wasn't the stock that we're looking at right away at the open. But consolidated 81, broke into 82, but it was a huge reversal almost all the way back. It eventually turned into a VWAP short, which didn't really, it's the afternoon, so it's not going to move a ton in the afternoon, those Chinese ADRs. But now all that ends up setting up here is a little bit of a continuation play. So, this is resistance that's held for about a month, or a couple of months over the summer, around the low 80s. You tried to break it out yesterday. There was limited success, maybe a buck higher, and we're trying to break out that high again today at that 82 level. It's up 3% when the market's down. So I like this for a breakout through the 82. And even if we pull back, I mean, that key close, like you had 2 days in a row where you essentially closed at $81. And that's where the consolidation was yesterday. So if it fails an 82 break, I still like the opportunity to catch a dip buy under 81. No fighting it. When it lost 81, it lost it big. So underneath that 81 is not where you want to fight this stock. But I like Alibaba to the long side. I haven't really looked at JD. Never really traded JD.com, but Alibaba certainly on watch for the long. Strong into a weak market already.
All right. For those of you that are looking for trade ideas, I mean, great spot. Obviously, our watch list, you're going to be able to get that every single day as well. And then right here, I have Alibaba written down on today's sticky notes. Hold on a second. We have an emoji for this right there. So 81 long, man. Upgrades today. Day 2 off earnings, looking long. I mean, I like those upgrades. I like the stock. We've talked about how Alibaba continues to perform well, I feel like. The report wasn't that bad. They missed some sales numbers, but other than that, nothing horrible in that report. And you can see was hit in the after hours and then just boomed all day yesterday off the open, then came in and did its sort of thing that it does in the afternoon, and it kind of hung out and didn't do much. So I wrote down 81. Look, I mean, that's where the 200 period moving average is. This is just a 1 minute chart. If we dip down into this area, definitely worth a buy. It dropped off there and hasn't come back. So I'd like to see it test. I don't want to layer into this trade or anything. If we're wrong, we'll be wrong and we'll get out probably for a quarter or something like that of a hit. But for me right now, I think Alibaba, the fact that it's working this well in the pre-market is nice. Up 3% is nice. This is another one that we're long down there in the low 70s. So we like the stock, was hoping that we get back up to 90 again right here. If that can happen, then I think that's an out. So I really like Alibaba. The late great Charlie Munger, this was his last big position. He was long like 120 or 130, probably still holding on to those shares. I think we're trying to break out, as Neil mentioned. So we'll just continue to hold this name, see where we go from here. It's Alibaba, and it's been a fun trade for the last little while, especially if you've been swing trading it. So we'll see if it can continue its upside potential today. Up 3% in a down market. I think this is a nice spot to find some strength.
All right, not much in EV land today. We'll touch on Rivian here once again. If you missed it initially, we were discussing this downside this morning on this report from Bloomberg suggesting they're going to have to pause output and delivery of Amazon's electric delivery van because of a parts shortage. Shouldn't last too long, however. Good day yesterday, though, for Rivian.
Yeah, Rivian, interestingly enough, too, with this Bloomberg report, we did have both Rivian and Amazon commenting. Rivian saying that they did not specify which components are in short supply. They said no timeline. They do expect production to recover quickly. Amazon also described it as a, quote, short-term production issues. So interesting note there. And it's also worth noting their CFO of Rivian had previously projected less deliveries from Amazon in Q4, or less demand. So interesting note there. We'll have to see how much this does impact Rivian, but neither party seems particularly concerned as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, still their biggest contract, so noteworthy here, bouncing off 1350. This line, tough to see probably, but this line, important here. They're saying also production of the R1 battery-powered SUV is unaffected. So the truck and the SUV itself not going to be bothered here.
Okay, I mean, it's not exactly falling apart on that news. So it's down. It's only down a point here and change on Rivian. I mean, that said, it was a big reversal off the 13 level. Maybe we see that again today. I'd suspect there'd be a bid at that 13 if we do. More interested in what happened with the rejection at $14 if we get to the upside. Like if it gets through, if it can test that 14 and break out that local high, I think you have a really good chance of getting to 14.50, but I'd be inclined to let it get to 14 and look for the short up there. That's where the short was yesterday, was the sellers at the $14 level. And the last time it got there, it chopped for most of the session and then literally dropped huge. The day after that, that was Friday, and then Monday of this week. So we get up to 14 again. Just look for a patient curl there on Rivian. $0.50 away. Maybe it gets there, maybe it doesn't. Feel like we're going to talk some chips with the AMAT report. I feel like that'll be a little more interesting. Yeah, let's talk Tesla because I don't see Tesla on there. And it's an EV name that maybe they do a little bit better than Rivian, I think, in a general sense. I think most people would probably agree with that sentiment. But I'm a little concerned with Tesla today because you are kind of failing off of that 50-period moving average. You're not really holding on to this level so far. And it's a big, great rally. Love what they did yesterday. It was a super extended move. Triple topped essentially at 216. That 50 periods at the 215 level. So unless we're breaking that out, I wanted to be short in front of this. Clearly we've ended up dropping before we can even get there. But if there is a bounce in the market, the short in this 15 to 16 area and that 50 period simple on the daily is my play for Tesla.
Yeah, our play is right here. It's pretty clear as well. It's, again, another name that's right there on the stick. You know, we were going to ignore Rivian today, but we have Tesla 216 short. I'm not in love with it, I mentioned there, but as the market can continue to be weak, then I think we can try it. So 216 there on the note for the short, right in, pretty easy. I was looking at this in the pre-market and I said, you know what, I'm going to try to find something to short. I even crowdsourced and asked you guys in the chat for some names. No one really said Tesla or anything, but I thought that this could have been something. So we'll just see. It's just had a problem the last 2 days. This is why I'm not completely in love with this short. It's already above the 200 and the 50-period moving average. If anything, we should be looking long dips, and that might be this 209 area. So your 212, $3 higher, I think is a short, $3 lower, I think is a long. It's Tesla. It's pretty simple for me. But Rivian, no. I feel like some of the best decisions we made was at 1850 to get out of half of or whatever we got out of our Rivian, probably a little more than that when it made that move up to here. So that was a good out. You know, you miss it on that move, then you get rewarded back again. And we actually got 1855. Out on Rivian, and I remember that clearly because it was finally like something near the top. Nice move back in now for Rivian. I don't believe in this stock. I don't believe in the EV spaces right now. I still own the stock. I should probably dump it, but we'll see if it can hold this level. I just don't want to go short or long it today, but 13 has held, 1275 maybe has held as well. I don't know, man. Maybe just a sour taste. Like, you know, we bought Tesla on that dip at 168. You know, did you have to hold Tesla against yourselves? Yeah. I mean, it was looking pretty bad there for a minute when we dropped into 135, you know, but then this happened. It has the juice, the ability to do that. I don't know if Rivian does yet. So I'm going to hold out hope on Rivian and still continue to long Tesla. So 209-ish as that level. And then on the upside, it was that 216, which I preferred. I prefer that, especially if the market's going to be red today. But I don't know if it's a home run trade or not, but we'll try it.
All right, let's touch on AMAT, Applied Materials here. Anyone who's not familiar, they make one of those companies that makes the equipment that makes chips and software for the industry. So, I mean, overall, Darren and I were just talking about this, decent report across the board, but did get sold off pretty hard in the aftermarket yesterday. Comes down to the forecast here. I was just going through some of these analyst moves. There's a ton of analyst moves on this. Mostly either reiterating their current stance or some sort of a hold. So kind of wishy-washy here for AMAT today.
Yeah, there were lots of eyes on this one heading into the report. It was even on the rundown yesterday, when it was one of the top 5 tickers being voted for. So lots of trading for Applied Materials. The bigger issue with this one might be the guidance, because they did beat for earnings per share and revenue. Their Q4 revenue guidance was $6.93 billion, plus or minus $400 million. Analysts were looking for $6.91 billion. So in line, but that plus or minus $400 million, maybe not super well received. Their Q4 EPS guidance, lower end of this, also coming in below estimates. $2 to $2.36 was their guide. Analysts were looking for $2.14.
Wasn't not necessarily the best there. It's only down 3 points, but for AMAT, that's actually not a bad move. It's done so much more recently. So not a very volatile day inside of the expected 5% move. So when that happens, tend to not view it as a trade. A name that's not normally in the pocket as a day trade. If it reports earnings and it's not really doing more volatility than expected, I don't necessarily want to be involved with it directly. But because that move is to the downside, do want to open up the opportunity for some potential moves to the downside for trades. Now, on my morning note this morning, I liked one. I had 2 levels written down. You can find it on Twitter, 120 and 118 on Nvidia. I like 118 because it has a little more confluence. Whether or not we're going to get down there is a big story. We'll see. If we do, we're going to be buying that dip in there. That's where things all started in yesterday's trade. I noted the 125, but like when I sat down, we were at like 123 and a half. And it really felt like, hey, there's going to be a Friday early sell-off or like pullback at the open for some profit taking when you're that tight to 125. Kind of felt like 125 would be a good spot to fade Nvidia, but it already dropped to 120. So that might be thrown a little bit out the window. The other name on the chips worth watching today is going to be Micron. And it's just the way that one moved yesterday. If we do get a big dip, Micron is trying to bounce right back to this 107 close price that it had. And let me quickly throw up a higher time frame chart of Micron. I'll do this so I can go back and forth. We'll just throw a daily chart up here on my trade ideas. There was a previous long trend line on Micron of support that when it broke, accelerated to the downside. It is retesting that trend right here. And that coincides with the resistance that you saw at the top yesterday, and that's about $109 on Micron. That's what it's retesting. That's where it turned around in the pre-market. So if this doesn't get back above green, this looks like a fade to me on Micron. And green is 106.95, so effectively that 107 level there in Micron.
So Nvidia, again, we mentioned this before when we started talking about the tech rally. And I'm going to keep saying it because it will hopefully be your trade of the day. Nvidia long 120. Let's just keep on going back to the well over and over and over again. We talked about this yesterday. Was my number one stock yesterday, was the number one stock on the floor. And I don't see why. And, all the traders were trading it. I think you got to be on this name for sure. The big trade was hitting this 120 break, and that didn't happen until 10 o'clock. So I realized that we took a hit yesterday trying to punch Google long when we got excited of maybe that one trying to get back up to the upside. It eventually did, but we took the L on it initially, getting in too early. I feel like that was the only time we lost ever on Nvidia was when this happened this week. And we opened at 119 and we dropped down to 115 and 114 before finally picking it up down here and then taking it back up, playing the same sort of long bias, right? And so that long bias is going to continue today for sure on Nvidia. There's no way I'm shorting this name. I guess if the market collapses, we'll be looking over here, but I'd rather look at AMD at that point. But 120, we held yesterday. It was a clumped up trade before it went. So if you go long 120, then I think you can wait for 119.50 to get out. So that's about, you probably get long about 75 cents, $1 worth of a hit. I think there's much more than $1 of upside in Nvidia today. It's just right now you're down 1% and the market's red. So I'm not super excited about it. We wrote that sticky note again, of course, when we were up here at 123, 124. There's the dip down. And we wrote down 120 long. We basically nailed it. It came down to 120.40. And even someone in the chat said, Sean, where's the bottom for this thing? I said 120. That was right there. It came in 40 cents. So you take a 40 cent worth of a risk and you get paid off $1.80 there. Or I guess $1.40. So that right there was already 3-1. We'll see if it can happen again. But we're going to wait a couple minutes. It's only 9:22.
Let's wrap things up here with crypto. Back to the upside today. It's a decent move, 1.8% for Bitcoin. When you look at what happened last week, not huge anyways, back above 58,000, 58.5, trying to hold here. So all the equities trying to follow suit here, higher pre-market for crypto.
We had certainly some interesting stories in the crypto space this week. We did have those 13F filings revealing some institutional involvement. Goldman Sachs purchasing $418 million worth of these BTC ETFs during Q2. We also had some minor earnings from TeraWulf and Hut 8 and some ongoing news in that saga with Riot and Bitfarms. So quite a few updates in the crypto space this week as we try to get back to 60,000.
Yeah. Thoughts, guys? Any ideas here for crypto trade today?
Yeah, one of the things that was notable in the afternoon yesterday was the weakness in Bitcoin when there wasn't really that much happening in the NASDAQ or in the overall market. Like the drop that was going on in Bitcoin was certainly leading things in terms of momentum. And now with the market pulling back this morning, you've had a bounce on BTC. Now you're not at 60,000. It's not a gigantic move. It's like $120 here for Bitcoin, which it can retrace no problem. Sorry, 12. Yeah, it's 1,200. It can do that and retrace it no problem. That said, a little bit of a relative strength. If we get to 60,000, I think that's where you're a little bit concerned. The sellers have kind of joined there a couple of times in the last few sessions, and I think that's where you get a little bit bearish. I got marked Mara 15. Said yesterday in the afternoon, if we had a down move, we'd probably get a test of that 15 support. It's been a good support level this week. You've seen very good bounces off the $15 level, but as I say all of that, and it was looking like we were trending down into 15 early in the morning, you're now back to $15.70. So this is probably going to require some patience. If you want to trade off the 15 level, looked a little bit more likely when we were heading down. That bounce in Bitcoin has it trading a little bit away. If this is a general hold, above the 15 level, I'd want to look for some kind of a long if we trend into 16,000, but it's trading away from the price that I had marked off and we were going to look for, as mentioned in the afternoon show. So going to have to practice some patience here with Mara, at least off the open.
Look, we already written down, I'm not going to show it to you again. Every single stock that we seem to be talking about here is on the sticky note today. Mara long 1550 if Bitcoin 58,000 holds. That's it. I mean, we kept it very, very simple. Bitcoin 58,000. This is a 30-minute chart right here. We can even dip it down into 15 again as well. There's 58.9. We almost got to 59,000 before dropping back into 57, 57.8. Now you're seeing it bounce back up just a little bit. So let's go over to quickly a 1-minute chart right now. There's the bounce back up. Here's the pull back in again. So we'll have to wait to see if it can hold it. That's 58.2. 58 is right into here. So we'll see if that does wind up holding. And if it does, then we will revert to, again, our own notes here that says go long Mara 1550. And again, we write this thing early, before 8 o'clock, right? Comes in, where does it stop? 1550, and then right back up to 1570 again. So we nailed the level again. It's in the pre-market. I don't think it's smart to take it right now in that pre-market. Let's see if Mara does do a little bit of a dip into 1550, and hopefully we'll be there to see if and when that does happen, and we can be able to watch some crypto right down here below as well. Yesterday, we were lucky enough to go out, and JC was over there at a book signing. It was really, real fun. And here's my guy right here, Obi. Lots of comments coming through on this picture as Obi and I hang out. Is that JC in the background right there? I don't know who that is. But there he was there again. We want to thank JC for coming through yesterday. And thanks to Obi and Sharif as we went over there to the book signing. And the funny thing was there was maybe 50 or 60 people there. It was like sort of an RSVP event. And I want to thank JC for inviting us. A couple people recognized Obi and Sharif, so that was like fantastic. So Trader TV Live is nationwide, although it was in Toronto, and worldwide. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and yeah, it was really amazing to see that. I was like, oh my God, people actually know about Trader TV Live, so that's fantastic. So thank you guys for supporting that, and thanks you to JC for coming through. Palantir, yeah, great guest, and we'll have him on more and more. All right, so Palantir comes through again here today, now down another 1%. And I say another 1%, I mean, it's been fine. It's just yesterday I kind of got this feel that it was going to be a little bit of a weaker day. It actually winds up being pretty flat at the end of it all yesterday. There's DraftKings, there's Palantir, there's some of these names, Upstart, Affirm. There's just some names that have traveled a little bit here during those bottoming periods. Like this was $22 all the way to $32. So that's like, you're up 30% in a week and a half on Palantir. So I do expect a little bit of a dive down. This is a little dramatic to me, 31.40 down to 30.60, $1, which is why I think it got bought right back up. But for me on Palantir, if you notice, this is a 200 period, a 50 period here. I'm going to wait for the 200 to develop. The 200's down here at 29.50. So I don't know if I want to get too excited about buying dips of this name until we get to the key level of $30. We're now under the 50-period moving average. And if anything, unfortunately, I'm thinking it looks more like a short here at 31.50 than it does to buy any dips in this area. So I think we have to wait. There it is. Now the 200 filled out, so that's better. I thought it was at $30. So there we go. We're at $30 for Palantir. I think this is a stock that we'll be able to pick up cheaper. So I don't want to buy it longer at this price. So we'll wait to see if Palantir comes down. But as you can see, it's on a nice little move up, and that might be something to do with these imbalances, which have Nvidia right now. Boom.
It was a sell imbalance and flipped.
Again, look at this, guys. We talk about this. Stick longs with the stocks that are the strongest. There goes Nvidia again, right down to that 121 area, and now up $1 off of that level. Lumen, well, we actually pegged that as a sell as well when we did our upgrades and downgrades, so that was a good look. Walmart, we said we wanted to be short today. That's also a sell. Alibaba, of course, we want to be long, which is a buy. So you're going to be able to see all these opportunities here at Real Trading with the imbalance locator. Make sure you sign up today, and you'll be able to meet guys like Obi and whatnot if you come on our floor. Obi today during the midday is here.
Filling in for Sharif. I want to shout out and thank you, Rohit, for the super chat. We got 1 minute to the open here. We appreciate you. You're asking about a Boeing swing. We'll be able to talk about this maybe a little bit more in depth, but in a general sense, we don't give investing advice. But I can tell you it did break a nice consolidation here at this 170 level, as you can see. Made a bit of a double bottom there at 160. I presume maybe you're talking about holding to like a 160 level. And there's a very clear resistance at 195. So like there's a pretty defined range here for Boeing. Whether or not it travels to the top is not for me to say. I've been bagging on that stock a little bit here. But yes, good breakout for Boeing at this 170 level, and it's trying to do some continuation today. No catalyst in particular that I see today. So BABA's right at that that 82 level. Looks like it's going to take it. Worth noting, as the market is catching a bit of a bid, Tesla is actually going to the downside. So the old pop and fade Tesla feels like it might not come into play. Is Tesla already working to the downside? ADR, let's ring it for this Friday in 3, 2, and 1. Let's go.
All right, 212. Yeah, Tesla's coming back in now. It's going to pop up a little bit. There goes Alibaba through $82. So there goes Alibaba right off the open. Here goes Tesla. It just bounced up nicely into VWAP at 212.80 there for Tesla. That tried to pop back up there a little bit, so we'll keep watch out for that. Another name that we're trying to watch out for and be a little patient with, of course, is going to be Nvidia, and that's making a little bit of a dip. Let's zoom in a little bit more here so we can see the action down into the 50 period now. Goes Nvidia, still waiting for that 120 level to come through. Market going to the south side right now. So we looked at Walmart wanting to try to get some south side action on WMT. Very, very little volume happening right now on Walmart. So let's wait till this spread tightens up a bit and gives us some kind of a direction. A little too early for me to pick and choose now.
Yeah, still waiting for the open on Alibaba. It's a New York stock, so I haven't seen an opening print. It is above 82, but on the NASDAQ stock, I'd consider it broken because you open right away, but not happening yet on Alibaba. I'll let you guys know. Micron went right to that 107 and did a bit of a left turn here, or a right turn to the downside. Tried to grab this on the way back through at 106.5. Did not grab it, so let's be a little bit patient. I thought it was an over-under on Micron at this 107 level. We're just going to be patient with it as it tries to bounce back up and retest yesterday's close. So close prices we like, they matter. If we hold underneath that close, going to look for that to the south side on Micron. Alibaba, I think it's open now. And breaking out that 82 level. Okay, so we have an opening print on Alibaba above that 82. Going to look to see if we can get in. Local bottom was 81.75 here. That's what I would give this break out to. Still low volume on Alibaba, considering it has now opened.
Yeah, the market's now trying to get back to the upside. I was thinking about shorting some Apple there, but Apple's still stronger than the market, up 0.23. So wanted to watch out for that. Spread's still pretty decent right now on some of these names. As there goes Nvidia trying to break now to the high side through 122. The market just pretty back and forth right now to start with. It's only 2 minutes in, so let's not get too carried away with trying to put on a position. We've talked about this a few times. Let's check out what Amazon is doing right now. Amazon so again, pretty flat, not really breaking one way or the other, just hanging out here. Nothing really happening on those stocks. Let's go over to the sticky note now and see what's going on with Starbucks. Nice bump up here, it looks like, for Starbucks to start the day. And again, just it's not exciting yet to me. This market. We're just going to have to wait. There goes Nvidia through 122 and a quite little pullback there, actually. As we say that, it just touched 122 and bounced back 80 cents there. So there's the break of 122 up to 122.05 right there, it looks like. And now it's trying to breathe a little bit and come back in. So, yeah, for me right now, absolutely nothing on board. And that was part of the plan for me today because we crush stocks every day. We just hit that 2 days in a row. We had Palantir breakout and we had Alibaba and we had Google breakout that went against us early. So Mara bouncing off 1550, maybe that's something. Right now 58.5 on Bitcoin.
58.5. Like, yeah, I'd like to see Bitcoin make that move, like hold 59 or something and get into that 60 level. I think that would be fantastic. So Alibaba, not a lot of volume off of that open when it broke out the 82 level, but it just dipped in for a retest of 82. I just grabbed some 10s. Going to get to Micron in a second because, Tesla in a second. Micron's at that 107, but looking for the $0.50 here on Alibaba as it tries to get back into the upside. It's Tesla, which is now screaming up here. So, hey, I mean, I wrote off that we're probably not going to get a test up here, that 216. And lo and behold, Tesla says, nah, we can go. We can go to 215. So if we get to that level, looking for the short off the double top yesterday at that 216. So Alibaba headed to the upside. Tesla screaming toward that resistance from yesterday. That was a pop and fade idea off this double top that you can see here on the 3-minute.
All right, so it looks like we both just have BABA right now. So, all right, let's just wait to see what happens now for anything else. Tesla, Nvidia's gone. So, I mean, this is another name that just, we could have been a little more patient with it, or a little more aggressive with it, I guess, when it was dipping into 121. But we already talked about what that plan was there, so not too much FOMO here. There goes IBIT, and there goes Bitcoin, as we are now 60 cents in the money right now on Alibaba. So that seems like a good little VWAP dip buy opportunity. Mara also bouncing higher. Alibaba, there's the buy right there, and here it goes through the roof right now. Alibaba. No, I'm okay for coffee. Yeah, thanks for that one. 83, sorry, coming into play for Alibaba right now. Dara?
What? We're going to...
Sorry about that. Good day here for Singulate, gapping up 2 days in a row. CING. All near high days here off the open. Yesterday, they announced they did receive a European patent here for their ADHD treatment. They have a float of about 844,000 shares. So CING on watch, trying to gap twice, guys.
Singing to the upside is CING, although it's probably maybe not even pronounced that way. Here comes those highs on Tesla as it's absolutely storming into this 216 level. It's flying into this upside. Just one note here, as it's getting close to that level, I don't want to ignore. You're trying to battle this 107 here on Micron. Fail underneath. We got 5 minutes of opening range now. Fail underneath, and I will look short. If it holds 107, that's an over-under play for me. Alibaba's absolutely flying toward the 83 level. Sorry, broke the 83 level and continuing to go. But the next thing is obviously this Tesla 216, if it can even get there. It's running into resistance at the $15 level. That's that 50 period on the daily, simple. Might be the first curl here at 15 and not 16 bucks on Tesla.
Yeah, we'll see. We are now obviously $1 in the money on that BABA trade as well. So that was a really good one to start the day here for us. Let's just check out Nike rate. We're only in one position, fortunately. I feel so stupid about that Nvidia because it was right there and we did not take it. Nike, again, nice move up to 83.50 and then the pullback down in for NKE. So again, a day 2, day 3 kind of play on that one. Just watching out for Nike up 0.5 point right now. Starbucks down 0.5 point. This was a name that we wanted to get short. We should have probably taken that 200 period, again, a little bit early for me to do that. Bob is pulling back a little bit. We could take advantage of that if and when that continues to happen. Yeah, I don't mind that 92.40 or so area for Starbucks. 94.40 area for Starbucks. I think that's a decent spot, 94.50. I mean, I've been watch out for 95 if that comes into play. I believe the biggest thing to do here would be to wait for Nvidia to maybe pull back into that beloved VWAP, which it's kind of doing right now, back into 122. So this could be a first little area. I'll try it. Area of long trading for Nvidia back into VWAP. But let's not let this one go too far. If we break below, again, like this 121.50 maybe area, we can get out of it and then just regroup. Remember, we do not want to get stuck buying dips when there is no rip. Let's make sure that we get some decent support areas. Adara.
Another day 2 play pushing higher off the open. AST Space Mobile. ASTS, the ticker for this one, trying to push to new highs of days, getting 3 very strong volume candles on the 3-minute chart. Reported earnings after the close on Wednesday, continuing to push higher here. Also, we're noting 9.7% short float for recurring runner here, ASTS, guys.
And I just said to Neil, NVIDIA is too easy, man. NVIDIA, I mean, there's the dip buy opportunity for NVIDIA. It just comes right in there and it goes instantly in the money, 40 cents. I mean, it's just like, whether or not you take it or not, we took some out there as well. But NVIDIA just like, sometimes when it works, it just makes you feel like, wow, why aren't we just doing this a little more often? So we'll just keep doing it, man. That's NVIDIA. Nice little move into VWAP. Glad we talked about it.
Yeah, just had Tesla back through 215, got the 214 half, and then it broke out the local high. So if it breaks the high, gotta wait till 216 in here. We did get a scalp trade in the meanwhile at that 50 level. So it ends up being 1-for-1, and I'm dead flat on the stock because we were able to get profit out at the first take. Micron is still holding underneath the 107. So it tried to break the high and then fail back under 107, which happens to be VWAP as well. Stop at the high, which currently sits at 107.40-ish. So, the even dollars, half dollars can matter. I'm just looking at where it turned and saying if that's where it turned, that's where I'm going to get out. Let's see what's going on. Alibaba, we want to try and catch this back in on the trend. VWAP sits at 82.40 currently on Alibaba, so the breakout's still ongoing here for Baba. Like to see if we can add on a bit of a dip buy for them. And Google is going, I see in the chat there, I got you, Michelle, 165.
Oh, yeah.
No. 165 is what I'm waiting for.
Damn
Google's
it.
not at 165.
Oh,
It's
okay,
163.
I'll take 163.
165 is the level. Sorry, guys. That's just the level I'm looking to short. It's not at all where the stock is.
No. It'll get there, hopefully. All right, so we are going to be in a short here that might not be for very long. We wrote down Tesla 216, and so we're in it right now. We're flat. We're in it at 216. So we're going to give this about 50 cents, obviously, with slip. Well, we're at 215.89. If this wants to continue to go up, our out was always going to be 216.50, so that didn't hit, but it almost did. So if that does hit clean out, and we will not get frustrated with it or anything, we'll just get out and work our other positions. There goes Nvidia up to 123. I mean, I just said, like, why not just trade the easy names? I was like, Nvidia's too easy. And then there goes Tesla ripping to the upside. So you take a hard trade, shorting something that's ripping, and that rips against you. But you take the easy ones in the easy money trade with Nvidia, and that one rips to the moon. So there you go, Nvidia, bang, right there. How about dem apples? That's $1 on that as well. So there we go. Neil, almost as if we're predicting the future, we said Nvidia would be the trade of the day right there, and that's what it just was for me early at 9:40, back to back jacks right there on Nvidia as it just keeps on going up. But definitely a fail there. And again, we'll talk about the sticky note all the time. There's a fail on Tesla. We tried 216. The fact that it got up there, to me, it was like, wow, I was not really expecting that. But there it goes, and a good out for us there on Tesla, I think, anyways, as it continues to go. And we got great slippage there. We got 51s and 57s there on the out for Tesla.
That's like no slippage.
Yeah, so that's absolutely great. But there goes Nvidia. Again, monster trade there to start the day on Nvidia.
Yeah, Nvidia is too strong. It's the one to go. I am surprised that Tesla's $6 to the upside, but when it broke that high, it got out. You got a double top here-ish at 83 on Alibaba. Don't forget how this curled yesterday. It was a wild one back in. We did not get an ad because it didn't get to VWAP. If we fail this 83 a second time, I'm going to look to get out and hunt back into VWAP, as that's absolutely flying to the upside. So looking good, but we didn't get the dip buy a second time. We tried to grab it at the open off of 82 and only got one fill in there. Still looking relatively strong as far as I'm concerned. Nvidia, why am I not in Nvidia? Simple answer. It did not get anywhere to the levels I wanted off of that open. It was a quick VWAP hold. Alibaba was at the price that I wanted at the open, so that's the one that I trade. And now if it wants to follow trend, I don't mind joining trend. I don't think I got into Nvidia until a little bit later, and it was still my best stock. If it's going to trend up, Nvidia is going to let you in. It's that simple. If it hits 25, maybe a different story, but it's right in the pocket at the afternoon range. Dip, we'll take it into VWAP because that's what the trend says. Let's go over to Adara.
Nice little volume spike here for Greenland Technologies, GTEC. This one is a small cap, approximately $22 million market cap. They had earnings yesterday after the close, beating on GAAP EPS, missing on sales, currently up about 36% for GTEC, guys.
Of course, I talking about earlier, the only name that we've played on breakouts long, real early this week has been Palantir. Oh my God. Palantir. Wow. We looked at our account. It is nice. We didn't look at it today. We looked at it last night. Palantir has been a darling of a stock as it just continues to go higher here. We've liked this stock for a minute. And actually, even last night, I was talking with Sharif, and I'm like, the next name to go into the S&P 500 is going to be Palantir. And I mean, they're already ripping this thing up. It's just continuously going. I wish we would have had the break long today right there at 31.20 because it has worked like a charm right there. And then as continues Palantir, look at this move here, obviously overextended from this bottom, but this day doesn't really matter to me. It's this breakout right here through 29 and 30 that continues to extend higher. I mean, what a great day there for Palantir, putting damage back on the board right there, PLTR coming through. We have $1 on Nvidia. We have $1 right now on Alibaba. And still making some sense on these trades. right now. Let's go back over to the sticky note and have a quick look. We talked about Mara at 1550, so let's have a look there. So it did dip down into 1550 right there at 9:30, but a little bit too early for that trade. So let's put on our patient hat and figure out that one. As the market now, 9:44. Again, we're all going to trade differently. I'm going to try to look to put on something with a little more shares at some point here as we get ready to go. What I'm looking for here is honestly maybe a Tesla pullback to the long now instead of worrying about a short. I mean, that short looks like it was 217, not 216, so we'll miss that one by 60 cents. We talked about that kind of a hit coming through again on that play, but maybe a drip down into VWAP, which would be 214.50 or so for Tesla. If that can come in, we know we like the stock, but I'd like to see the market try to hold up, which might not be the case. If Tesla drops down for no reason, we'll buy it. But if the market keeps making this kind of a move, we have to really think about regrouping. We may regroup here on Nvidia as well. We're out of 60% of this, not the full thing.
Yeah, speaking of going back to the well, looking at some of those previous stocks and previous levels, day two Walmart, it's right at 73, which should come as probably no surprise to anybody, but on the good way, it bouncing into that 173 zone. And if it can hold and break out this top, that's where the support was before. So Walmart's going to be back on the radar. I feel like we're getting the next dip in Nvidia. Can it hold on to trend and hold on to VWAP is going to be the story. I have a trail for an 83. If the BABA loses 83, I want to get out and try to regroup back in the trend here. But here comes VWAP. It hit 122 the first time, but the quarter level is going to be that 122 on NVDA. But eyeballs also on both BABA and Walmart at this $73 level, I say. $73 level for Walmart. If it can't hold this, I think it's in for a little bit of a gap fill. But here comes NVIDIA back into VWAP as we speak, looking for a bounce here off 122 quarter.
Man, that's too bad about our little Tesla thinking there, because now it's not well below, it's 50 cents below our initial area right there. So we'll see if there's any sort of a break happening here on Tesla, potentially lower right now on that one. Of course, we're, like I said, man, I mean, we're trading VWAP on NVIDIA all day. That's why we went long in the first place. And we're going to go long again right here on NVIDIA. If that does come in, Alibaba still $1. We'll hold out on that. That move went all the way to 83.25. Maybe we could put an order a little bit higher. I mean, we're already breaking out. There's really not many levels up here that I have to worry about too much. 84.50. I mean, if we get to that, that would be great. 84, that little top right there, 83.30. So a little bit of a pullback now for Alibaba. We could take it out. That's 83.50. Let's just put an offer at 83.50. If it wants to bounce up there, then we'll try it. Rocket Lab moving around apparently right now as well. Too bad about that Nvidia. Obviously could have got a heck of a lot more aggressive down there off the 200 period. We were waiting for VWAP. Nice bounce on Nvidia. Let's go.
VWAP is it's allergic to VWAP just now.
Yeah. Well, that's why we took it early, right? I mean, sometimes you got to make the trades early to get it. That worked out that time, but not the second time. It'll still come back, I feel like. And the same thing there for AMD. AMD actually goes into VWAP and comes back. So that's a decent area right there for AMD as well. So something to look at here for advanced micro devices. Roblox trying to go, good. Roblox
just
now
that
up
Rocket.
40. Yeah, go ahead.
That Rocket Lab, by the way, 17% to the upside with a, what's the float up to right now? 18% short float. It is flying on a big break. I wonder if this might be getting into like potential halt territory soon. Watch out. It looks like it could be getting remotely close to or reasonably close to potential halt there. $7 is what's next. On the daily chart, that doesn't matter. It's like an $8 level here on the daily. So if you're looking at Rocket Labs, $8, the big level out there on the daily, it's at 7. I guess it's not really in the halt range because that's only a 50-cent move on the 3-minute candle. BABA's still holding out nicely. And as we said, NVIDIA, allergic is probably the worst word to use for VWAP because it did wick in there and then snap back up. So there was a chance, and then once it bounced, it really flew above 122.5. Still looking to grab it. This is the opening, the closing range from yesterday that it's chilling out in. So it might just be along in here instead of the line on the chart that says VWAP. Tesla, good thing we got out of that one. It's continuing to go higher. Now 217 for Tesla. Tesla, wow, this is what Danielle Shea wanted, so she'll be happy about this. All she wanted to see was it hold 215. Well, it's doing that in spades. Adara.
Let's go.
Just some news and context on that rocket lab here. We did get this news coming out a bit later in the pre-market around 8:30 a.m. that the company is shipping twin satellites to this launch site for the NASA Mars mission. Also worth noting, they moved up a lot yesterday on no catalyst. They have a short float of 10.7% as well, so decent short float. And this satellite-related catalyst for RKLB, guys.
I mean, the market, yeah, Rocket Labs, good little look right there. Nvidia is still going higher. Right now, we should have been a little bit more attentive to that trade. All right, Nvidia, Starbucks, Mara, Baba, Tesla, all the names that I feel like we should be looking at, and we have been. Let me just go back over to Starbucks quickly because we wrote down on this name 96 short. So, you know, we knew we liked the short on this name. Unfortunately, it doesn't get anywhere near 96, which is fine. It wasn't a VWAP trade either because the VWAP would have been underneath, and if anything, you might be going long against that. So right now that we've seen a level here on Starbucks, I feel like this, 94.40 area would be something to look for a short. And we've already sort of talked about that. Just didn't come into play for us. You know, the losing trade here for us is Tesla, and that was a nice move until it wasn't. Let's just wait to see here. It just bounced. We said about trying to buy VWAP right there. We miss out on that opportunity. With the market now potentially trying to go green right here, what a mover we have on Nvidia right now. That's $1.40 now as we break out through the highs of the day. Let's put another, let's go. Neil, as if this 8-ball, we mentioned Nvidia was possibly going to be the trade of the day. And right now, $1.30. I love the Alibaba trade. I love this Nvidia trade. So far, so good right there, man. And it's just what we said on here. Go back to the well. Have confidence in the trades that you feel will work. And that's what we did right there with Nvidia. We put it on the board one more time. It's $1.50. It's Nvidia.
Yeah, and on the board is about to come right back on Alibaba. That 83 definitely sold it in spades. I trailed it to the 83 level. It's at VWAP right now, so it's already like that's a half a dollar pullback into VWAP on Alibaba and continuing to trend to the upside. So if you're managing your trade here, trend looking good, want to try to get back into it, don't want to throw all that profit away, but it's looking very strong here on Baba. So the next opportunity for me is going to be to take this off of VWAP if we can get it. Just don't want to rest on our laurels for this trade. If we lose VWAP, 82 can always come back into play, but don't want to have this one lose all the way back in. Before we go over to the ad read, the other thing that was on my note was 175 Amazon. Amazon doesn't get anywhere near 175. 176 is the bottom. Now it's holding on to VWAP and breaking, so I want to join this one to the long side before it goes green here. Market trending up. Want to add this as we were looking for a little bit of a dip and rip on a Friday. Dip not as big as we were anticipating, but you've got to move on to what is next. Catch that next opportunity. So Baba was good. We already took that profit. Let's see if we can get the next one, Adara.
This part of the show is brought to you by Benzinga Pro. Tired of being late to the trade? Always playing catch up in the market? Missing out on the big moves because you're too slow to the news? Benzinga Pro is your unfair advantage. Get breaking news alerts up to 30 minutes before everyone else, pinpoint exactly why stocks are moving, and join a thriving community of traders who share their strategies in real time. Ready to see how Benzinga Pro can transform your trading? Visit benzinga.com/pro and get a free 14-day trial.
Thank you, Adara. Oh, the other thing that just happened, Walmart did hold on to that 73, so it's continuing to go higher here. It's only up 0.4%, but looking very strong on a day two type play. 73 is where it barcoded all day long. Maybe it can retest VWAP and get us in. Just double checking Amazon in a quick second. I got to have that up on another level too, as that one is absolutely, Nvidia is absolutely flying in here. I don't think we're going to worry about VWAP. It's a line on a chart. The closing price, at this point, if it goes red, I think you're concerned. So 123 would be the natural spot to look for the next dip. As long as you're not at 125, I think you've got an opportunity. I just saw Tom H in the chat with regards to Bitcoin. BTC just reversed off of those highs. Not just, but is reversing off those highs. So again, weakness in Bitcoin is everything looks like it's looming higher and trying to make a bit of a bounce. I think that could bring Mara back into the picture as no, Mara's not dumping. Mara's not even pulling back. Mara's at the high of the day when Bitcoin's turning. That could be a bit of a shorting opportunity there in Mara.
We had written down that we really liked Mara for the long today, but again, just should have taken it early. We said as long as it holds 58, but as Neil mentioned, it's not holding 58. So, very interesting name coming through on Mara. One more time, we just got a little bit of this action happening right now. We just went and got some fruit salad. The fruit salads been pretty good lately. We've had some nice opportunities here with, as one thing falls down, I have to get that on my leg here and put it over here on a napkin. See a fruit salad. Honeydew melon here in cantaloupe. Very nice. All right, it's very nice. All right. Nvidia is really nice right now as well. All right, so Micron, Uber. All right, what's this market doing? 218, 219, 217 there for Tesla. Tesla keeps on making the move higher, man. 218, look at this, breaking out. So at least our thinking is right. We knew we didn't want to short this anymore, and what we were waiting for was a dip into VWAP. It came close, but not close enough. It came about $1 away from that, or else that would have been a play faux show. $1 in the money on Baba, $1.30 in the money on Nvidia, and Adara at the desk.
Be aware of some of these small cap names related to vaccines or Mpox. We had GOVX continuing to move, and particularly strong is Emergent Biosolutions, EBS. This is the 15-minute chart here. Nice push to the upside. This moving higher as the WHO has declared Mpox a global health emergency. So any of these vaccine-related stocks on watch. EBS here as well does have a 7% short float, and they're developing an Mpox vaccine, guys.
All right, we're shorting Intel now. So we do have a new position right here, Intel. Intel's at the 200-period moving average. It did make a move up here to $20.65. I feel like if it breaks that we can get away from it. But for right now, we're going to try the short. We are still long on Nvidia, but our Nvidia long is not really a thing right now. We only have 20% left. We've already done a lot of damage on that name. So let's just continue to see. Hey, look, if Intel takes this 65, we can get out. We can also wait for 70. Maybe that's something. Maybe we'll average into this at 65 if it does come back up to that level, and then we'll work on it from there. So for right now, we'll be into this Intel position in here at 59.5. We took a 58 and a 60. So right now, we'll see what winds up happening at 59s. We'll wait to see what winds up happening now on Intel. Just a new position, and Nvidia just ho-humming at the high of the day. It actually just touched 123.90 right there, giving us almost $2 on that trade. But so far, so good here. Consumer sentiment coming up at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, be careful with that number. If you're, I'm looking at, Nike just broke back above 83, and I was about to say be careful with any retailer when you get this consumer sentiment number. But
good point.
We like the break of 83 on Nike. It did it in the pre-market. It did it right away at the open, only to reverse. Now it's back above. So VWAP also happens to be here. Just expect a bit of a wick in one way, in one direction or another. If I get the bid in front of 83 and then get wicked out underneath VWAP on the consumer sentiment number, I want to be ready on this level to try to jump back into the trade if that's going to happen here on Nike. So we are ready for it. And then Amazon did make that bounce off of VWAP in 177, or is, I should say, making that bounce off 177 and VWAP. Bit of a stair step to the upside here for Amazon. Plenty of room till resistance at 180. I don't really know what to say about Tesla. It's still going. If you do the work and kind of go up into the daily chart, there isn't really anything until 233. So if you can't beat them, join them. Let's see if we can find a dip buy in Tesla. The obvious level would be 216, where the resistance was before. That's $2.50 away. This is going to require some patience, but willing to be patient on that trend if that's what it's going to take. Here comes another dip in Nvidia. See if we can grab this one. Number coming in 2 minutes, though. So just remember, you can get these little wick spikes in there at 10 o'clock, and you don't want to get yourself shaken out. So be ready to re-enter if that's your plan.
The bank stocks up nicely right now as well today, as JP Morgan up 1%, up to 213 and change. Goes JPM. So watch out for JP Morgan here today making some kind of moves. We'll wait to see where exactly those moves are as this day goes on. But right now, 213. I think it's smart. I put down on the sticky note as well with only a minute to go that the best thing to do right now would probably be to wait for that consumer sentiment number. So let's wait to see if and when that comes out and what that reads right now. But JP Morgan and the bank names upside. Let's just check out Citigroup just to make sure that that is the truth. right now before we start to worry too much about it. Yeah, there goes Citigroup upside as well. So far, so good on that. We don't really have anything else going on. We've got Nvidia, we've got Alibaba, we've got Intel. Intel one way, Nvidia the other way. Nvidia's nicely pulling back. I'm going to put an offer up there now at 193 or whatever that price was I just said. Upside there on Nvidia, 123.50 in case we do get a spike. Tesla's the one that is pulling back decently right now as well. So a couple moves happening. Tesla up to 218, now back in to 217.50. So that high was actually 218.50. All right, with only 30 seconds to go, I'll just kill a little bit more time, then we can go over there to ADR because we are getting really close now to that consumer sentiment number. And I think Neil was dead on by talking about retail names. So watch out for that one with Walmart, Starbucks, or whatever you guys happen to be trading. It's happening now, right now with ADR.
About 15 seconds here until we get these Michigan consumer sentiment numbers. The key number here is going to be the preliminary Michigan consumer sentiment print for the month of August. Previous print here, 66.4. Consensus here of 66.9. We did get that printing coming here slightly above expectations here for the Michigan consumer sentiment. Preliminary 67.8 versus the forecast here of 66.9. Michigan 5-year inflation preliminary 3%, so above the forecast of 2.9%. 1-year inflation preliminary 2.9% in line with estimates. Expectations preliminary 72.1, well above the estimate here of 68.5. And last but not least, Michigan conditions preliminary for August coming in below estimates here, 60.9 versus estimates of a 63.1. Just to recap, though, the main number here coming in above estimates, Michigan consumer sentiment preliminary for August, 67.8 versus the consensus here of 66.9. S&P 500 pushing a little bit higher here, trying to break even on this news. What a day we've had so far for a Friday. We do have lots of these ADRs in the move, JD and Alibaba, day 2 earnings. We also have spot gold making new all-time highs. Applied Materials here on watch here as well, trying to make a bit of a recovery here off of earnings. They beat estimates, but their guidance not super well received, guys.
I mean, this market
like that
well receiving that number right there. So good little call there on Amazon as that continues to go higher and higher and higher. Amazon right now is starting to go.
Starbucks? I thought you were looking at Starbucks.
No. I mean, I was going to have a quick look at it.
Because you shouldn't trade Nike without looking at Starbucks.
We wanted to look at. Yeah, Starbucks. So Starbucks not moving. I don't know if Nike moved on that.
So Nike did a little bit. The only reason I say this is, remember, I feel like the only reason Nike made that breakout was because of Starbucks. So in the back of my mind, extreme things in Starbucks, whatever. They don't have to follow each other. But Nike did bounce off VWAP. It just got to 83.3. So obviously, if you wait around until after the number, getting the bid again is going to be tricky. We'll see if we bounce off VWAP. And then a similar thing happened with Nvidia, where it bounced right before the number. You could get the fill off VWAP, then it printed the 123s, and now you're trying to retest VWAP in here, post the number. Amazon, that's not dipping at all again off of VWAP. So, you know what? Yeah, you know what? Obviously, trying to get all in before the number, in hindsight, would have worked. But I was playing the cautionary tale, like, okay, let's look to see if we can get something in, but try to add to it after we get that number. Amazon flying and now green. We'll have to hunt for a rebuy zone. As long as it's not getting close to 180, I think there's room to the upside. The NASDAQ hasn't even gone green. We're still a quarter down. The ES is about to go green any second. But those were nice bounces on that number. And Tesla, you can be as patient as you want looking for some kind of a dip buy. It's not giving you much of a chance to get in here on Tesla. Still shooting to the upside. The best you could do for Tesla, for myself, was get out of its way. Yeah, I wish we could have had a long in it, but that's just wishing. You just got to make the next trade. So it's a bit of a miss. I feel like 2 days in a row missed out on Tesla longs. But let's see if we can hold VWAP on Amazon here. I'll get to Nike in a quick second, but Amazon is pulling back. Want us to hold VWAP? We can run to 120.78 again.
Where did I put Nvidia? I thought I was going to get some out on Nvidia. I must have not. All right, so 120. I mean, we might as well do this. So we're short Intel. We did get stopped out. We're still in that name, though. I'll talk about that in just a minute. I just want to make sure that we do have an order out here. What about the high right into here into the pre-market 123.60? something like that. If we can get an offer in and around there, we'll do that. So we'll put that out right now, 123.65 or so here for Nvidia, basically the high of the day. If we can get that, here it comes in right now, 10 cents more, and we'll be out of this Nvidia trade as we're really starting to go higher here in the market. And again, you know, just like we say this, man, trade the strong names. And unfortunately, on Intel right now, we were shorting into the high of the day,
strong
basically. And it already took it out. So Intel right now is up 0.1 right now and trying to go. There goes Nvidia. We just got out of that. So that was I mean, let's go. That's a big one right there on Nvidia. 122 to 123.50. We are now clean out of that trade. Alibaba continues to run. That one just keeps going. We actually have an offer right here near the high of the day. I'm actually going to cancel that trade and see if we can even get higher than that. Right now, Alibaba long at 82. Again, a name that's right off the sticky note, right off VWAP, and hopefully has done well for us on that play. So that's about that right now. Intel, we're going to give this one to 80. It's a rocket ship right now to the upside, joining all of these names, man. Nvidia,
the Rocket Lab to the upside.
Rocket Labs has been a hot fire. There is no doubt about that one. But oops, what just happened there? Oh no, keystroke, I think, on Intel right there. We do not want to get out. Oh no, boo. I was actually trying to add. Okay, well, we'll just get it right back. All right, so we actually tried to put bids down there on Intel. We went the wrong way on that one and punched out. So we'll have to take a little bit more shares there on Intel now just to make sure. There we go. We're back into it at 76 and 75. But all right, we're waiting for 81s on Intel. And again, just into this pre-market level, I don't know. I tried to short some weak names, and Intel, obviously, in the last couple of days hasn't been super strong. It's still right.
Days?
No, I've been just saying, like, yeah, it's not like the way Nvidia looks or anything like that. Or
Intel hasn't been strong in the last couple of
I know, but right now it's very strong. It's up 0.4.
Yeah. Okay, so just very quickly here, sometimes you get fortunate because strong stocks will let you in. Tesla has never let us in at any point, at least not myself. I'm sure some people are long. Congratulations on Tesla. But if we fail this breakout on Nvidia of the local high, I'm trailing out of it. We're adjacent to 125. We're close to 125, getting to 124. But if we fail this break, I want to give it back into 123, like 80 or so, just where you had that previous high. So 124 is broken, and now you're starting to pull back in. So if we fail this break, I'm going to get out and take the profit. Amazon did not just give us VWAP on the dip, so it's still trending higher as the market continues to go. Nike's still at 83, so nothing crazy happening over at Nike. I wanted to highlight, remember we were talking about Mara when Bitcoin was falling? So, so the reason I'm not making any Mara trades is like Bitcoin's still at that 58 level. Mara is really strong here, and I'm checking out Coinbase as well. Load, and it's right up at 205 and just looking like it wants to rip some faces off. Like, there feels like there could be a squeeze in some of these names. And I looked at Mara and I looked at Coinbase, and which one of these two stood out? That Friday, before we had the dump on Monday, whatever you're calling it, Coinbase closed at 205. Yesterday's high, 205. Today's high, 205. So I'm no longer interested in Mara. I think I'm just going to take a Coinbase break at the 205 level. The Mara ain't at $15. Coinbase is at a key level as we speak. So I'm just going to go for the one that's right here right now. So a bit of a pivot to the stock that's at the key level, Coinbase.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm surprised that Mara, off of that $15 level, had an opportunity there. Yeah, Nvidia, man, I mean, getting that out always, someone in the chat is like, never get out of Nvidia, man, and you're probably right. Although yesterday afternoon it did dip down a little bit there into the afternoon, and we didn't have too much of a pullback basically until then. It didn't start pulling back until 2 o'clock pretty much yesterday, and even then, that's not much of a pullback at all. I guess you could say it sort of found its top at 120, 122.50 or so, but that's basically where we went long off VWAP there early. Got this at 122 and got it out up there near the top, and we'll see where the top is. That little spike up there. Not like it's on strong vol. I mean, the volume's strong, but I mean, you didn't get like a capitulation, burnout at the top there, anything like that. So we can wait to see if that one wants to do anything. We're still waiting for that I mean, we've just been shorting on Intel. Obviously, it's going to be a losing stock for us if it takes out this 80. But again, we got only a couple outs. You can see right here. I'm going to try to go off this pre-market high now for for Intel. Let's see if it wants to get in a little bit more than where we are right now into 73s. We can get that filled. That would be nice. I'm bidding some 70s as well. Here comes 72s. And again, like we say, just try to manage. Like I'm not sure the short is going to be right. We do have stop orders, so that's part of the game, right? Is to make sure you protect the downside risk in your account, no matter what size, what account you're trading. You got to make sure that you're protecting your neck on some of these plays, because you could just keep on getting ripped up forward and backwards. Like you could be short in 5 minutes, 5 minutes to next you're long, and you can lose on both of those. So sometimes patience and making sure that you protect some of the downside obviously continues to be pretty important. We're going to wait for some we're short 77s now. We'll see if we get some. We just got some 73s. We'll see if we get some 72s, and then we'll wait for 70s and so on. I mean, a pullback into the 200 at this point on what has been a strong day for semis. I feel like we need to get out and not wait for this huge dip down, because the dip down's not happening. Unless you're playing dodgeball, you're dipping, ducking all over.
You know how you know a stock is strong?
Yeah.
Like the second it hits a trail out level or an obvious trail out level, it just gets bought right up. So that's what happened, I think, twice here on Nvidia. It goes to a spot where you're looking to take profit, wicks it, and then, you wick down a VWAP, you trail out, you're immediately bouncing. So Nvidia, maybe it's not going to get back into VWAP, but we'll try to be patient with it. 123 area is where it closed. Kind of have a line on the even dollar, but 122.86 is where it closed. So we can always pull back in, but I'm now out of that one. And we'll hunt for a way back into the trend, because the trend is your friend. I went over to AMD because I just wanted to see, relatively speaking, what's going on. AMD's strong, but it's not fresh highs on AMD. But Vamsi in the chat asked about Meta, and I'm glad you did. Because at 10 o'clock or after it, like, what am I not looking at? What's relatively strong? What's relatively weak? What are we missing? Obviously, Tesla long. We know this already. Meta is down 1.5% and well underneath VWAP. This is not looking incredibly healthy. But remember, Meta's the one that got very close to those 52-week highs. And it got within spitting distance, so I feel like it made some sense for this one to be a little bit relatively weak. I didn't have any short ideas that didn't involve $540, so it was at 30s. No point bringing that one up. But if we get to VWAP and the market can't take out those highs, Meta might be a little something worth looking at here in a bit. So Meta, relatively weak. Just wanted to point that out to everybody. Nike's still trying to hold on to VWAP here. So when you zoom it out, yesterday's top in the afternoon was $83. It's holding on to 83. Each dip is maybe going down to like 90s, 91 is the bottom here. So it's really not going against you more than 15 cents. Not breaking out the highs just yet on Nike, but it's churning to the upside pretty nicely up in an up market. Amazon double tapped 178. If it does it a third time, I'm going to get out. This is right around where we close some resistance here. So I want to take some profit here. It's Friday. We're going up, but the thing that's screaming is Tesla. And some of the other names are following, but not nearly as strongly here on Amazon. Tesla wants 220 in a bad way.
Yeah, it's going upside, and so is this Intel. I mean, we were able to get out of it, so it's not out of it all, obviously, but out of some as we got down here. We just reload. If it breaks 80 right now, there it goes. There we go. So we are at 81 break, so that we get 81s. So unfortunately, we tried it again on Intel, did not work. We should have just stuck long, as you guys were all saying there, on Nvidia, because now it's at 124.50. But here's the name that Neil talked about, Tesla 220.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I'll probably get some out of this one as we get ready to go.
That's what I'm starting to
think. Man. All right, 220 and change. It's not like it's slowing down up here. I mean, this is the first time it's been up here, and it's still up here. So that's going to be a good play for us again. Oh, man, I sort of still want to go back and short that Intel. We didn't. It's still in the pocket for us. We could do that. And that's the thing about Intel. You're not taking. I mean, I'm taking bigger shares and taking hits on it, but it's pretty manageable. It's only within 5 cents here, back and forth. All right, so Qualcomm was another name there, but here's Tesla on a little bit of a pullback now. Finally, maybe. 119, 1950. The Nasdaq's trying to get back to Greensville. Maybe it's time to look for a little bit of a short at 19,560 now. We don't necessarily want to go against the market too much here, as it's been real strong, man. What a great week it's turned out to be off of last week as well. I'll find out what percentage we're up for the week, but it seems like every day is like we went down one day, and now all of a sudden it's like...
Lots is the answer to that. It's been a great week, and no question about it, but yeah, it's like the NASDAQs and the ES are just getting to green or getting close to green and just not punching through. Like, it's like Tesla's doing great, and Nvidia is doing great. Amazon's up. It's going up, but it's not flying to the upside at this point. It doesn't feel as strong, broad-based as we've had the last couple of days here. And I'm looking for something. I'm looking for things that are weak. Everyone's pointing out that Upstart did a bit of a, okay, so let's call it like maybe a pump and dump here off the open, 36 to 38. Now it's right back under. When this happens, I'm usually thinking find a short until it gets all the way back into the bottom. I don't know if there was a story here in particular for Upstart, but it might just have been that it got to yesterday's high and did the old dump and dive. If this loses $36 on Upstart, that's not good. Last time I checked, that's a flat bottom break. And it's one that possibly has trapped some longs over 38 on Upstart. So unless I see a news story that's convincing me that this should be bought at 36 even, I'm thinking Upstart could turn into a red to green nasty move if it breaks that 36 level there. So that's just one new one. Still in Nike, still in Amazon. Nvidia, like we said, we're going to try and find our way back in. You know, the thing about Nvidia yesterday, and this is just like, or today, and it was just like yesterday, you just got to find the next long opportunity on it because there will be one when it's going up. That's how it works. On an upward trending stock, you're going to be able to find yourself a long. Just got to be patient for it. Look for the next available dip. Maybe it's 123. I don't know. Maybe it's 123 and a half. But when it catches a bid, we'll be there for it. I suppose now that I'm saying all this is just going to break 125 outright, and we'll have to take that.
Yeah, that might happen.
It's at $0.50 already.
It's so stupid, honestly. It's not stupid. I mean, this is what this market is. 225, it's just going right now. I'm going to try 225 on Apple. I feel like I'm getting into this zone again where it's like I'm just not believing in this long, but I mean, the long just keeps on pushing. So at some point, we're going to... The thing about it is Tesla's actually bouncing off of a key level right now of 220. So that... You know, Nvidia's gone. Nvidia's at 124.50. And again, it's just like get long. It's literally all we said on here. Go back to the well and get long. Like it's not, I feel so silly when we look back and we're not doing our plan again to perfection. But that's, you know, that's trading and I'm fine with it. But anyways, here we go, man. Apple up to 225. It's frustrating because, you know, we've liked the long here today, but it seems like the only positions that I'm seeing that are actually hitting levels are shorts, and that's because it's squeezing to the upside, and the shorts are just looking better than maybe they did in the past than where they are now. But thank you for that day trader cut there in the chat saying the NASDAQ this week alone is up.
Do we have shorts on
5.2%. You have to try.
Yes, we do.
You know, remember yesterday was Sharif paid for them. And
three bajillion, what was it, 3,000 price to, or what was it, price to sales, at least when I checked on Astus. I know they reported ASTS. You know what? It's not Astus. It's ASTS. Sharif called it that. It's a ASTS here, down 6%. Look at that Christmas tree. This is what I was just looking at on Upstart in case it broke the low. This just broke the $30 level as we speak. We do have free locates on this one. Sometimes that's how it works. I don't want to chase this. You knew it was going to unwind at some point. Don't chase. Look how far it's going to the downside. It might need to bounce somewhere and try and catch a move back in at that 30 to 31 area where it closed.
Nice flush.
Why did it not? It hasn't halted once from 37 down to 29. I guess it's been an orderly fall down because it's about 15 minutes to the downside here. So I don't want to catch this on the first initial bounce unless I see it consolidate somewhere for reload short. But this and Upstart just got put on the radar for me. What goes up must come down. You saw that valuation. I mean, obviously the valuations don't matter for some things, but come on, at some point they have to matter. Nike has not retested VWAP a third time. It's headed for the 83 half zone, and Amazon just tagged, Amazon on the NASDAQ. Yep. Amazon just tagged 178, so this could be a case where it double tops and doesn't pull back into VWAP, and we take the profit and are looking for a way back in. That doesn't always come, because that's what's happening on Nvidia. So we're out of Amazon. Again, just try to ring the register. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, but come on, Nvidia. I was joking around when I said we're not going to dip by. It's just going to break out 125. Well, now it's at 120. It got to 124.81. Looks like it's trying to get there. Tesla finally looks like it's remotely weak. But I'd rather short something which is falling apart. This ASTS, that just fell apart. And I can see all the reason in the world why it could continue. Look at the gap underneath 30 here. it only is possibly only getting started. So I want to take this initial bounce, see where it can curl, and take a shot. And if you don't have locates, like all I can tell you is here they are free. I can't say that every broker is going to have free locates on ASTS, but here at Real Trading, I'm surprised this one is actually free to short.
Yeah, no.
Could be dangerous.
Unfortunately, we were getting out of Apple in the low 80s, which was like 5 or 6 cents worth of a win, and then now it breaks through 225. So, you know, again, we were able to get out of half of our position, but it's not very large amount of money, obviously. So now we'll just have to wait. We'll put another bid in the low 80s again here as we kind of, there he goes, we get some 83s there, I believe. Or no, we didn't. That was Intel, we got some out. Let's see if Apple pulls back in there. I was bidding 83s. Let me just put another bid out here at 85, 86. Just because, I mean, this is a false break on Apple, so they're just kind of like figuring out which way it wants to go. Sometimes it'll do that break. We saw on Nvidia yesterday, it broke through 120, went up to like 122.15 or something like that, and then pulled back in about 50 cents. If that can happen for Apple, this is a $225 stock, so obviously $100 more right now than Nvidia. So the pullback there, it is 83s. The pullback could be real, and it's happening right now. So yeah, good hold for me there. But again, I don't really. The best we got was 83s. I mean, I can't be like, wow, this stock has been so good, because it hasn't been. We'll be up on Apple right now, but I'm not sure that's going to be for a very long time. I'm bidding some 70s. If it does dip into that level, we just took another 83 bid as we're just sort of piecing this thing out as we go. Let's see if we do get a drip. But the NASDAQ is the complete opposite of going down right now. It is just turning green and starting to go higher and higher and higher, while Nvidia is just like, dude, where's my car? Because honestly, it's just taking off like ridiculous. This has gone meme crazy. We should have identified that before. For some reason, we did not. What's up, A?
Bit of a pause here for the IWM as it tries to pick a bit of a direction here. It's currently on a bit of a downtrend, clearly below highs. We'll have to see what happens here for this Russell 2000. Quite a few small cap names to talk about here. Two of the names on this list are going to be related to the Mpox and vaccines. We know these names have been on watch as of late since Wednesday. We have GeoVax here, nice volume pop, making new highs of day. On this news, we also have 5 million share float for GVAX. Also on watch in that lane is EBS, Emergent Biosolutions. They're another vaccine-related name working on an Mpox vaccine. Currently up here about 30% with a 7% short float. Last but not least, Singulate. This is another repeat name here. This is actually a day 2 move. Yesterday getting a European patent here for its ADHD treatment. And we do have a float of 844,000 shares. So small float for Singulate, guys.
All right, yeah, Singulate. We talked, that's on our watch list, I believe, as well.
Yes, sir.
Get that
Singing
right now as well. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, that's funny, Zion. Yeah, Nvidia did say hold my beer. I mean, we'll be, I don't know if we'll have, the brother-in-law's in town. We'll have some couple cold ones probably this weekend, and it will be courtesy of Nvidia.
What's his name?
So thank you, Nvidia, for all of that. Unfortunately, we could have bought a couple extra cases if we had just held on to a little bit more there on NVDA. But you know what we did hold on to? Let's go. $2 now, almost in the money now on Alibaba, as again, easy trade, I feel like today, man. I mean, we wrote this down. It's trade idea. Trade idea number 1 is long Nvidia. Trade idea number 2, long Alibaba. Trade idea number 3, short Tesla. Oh man, that's hilarious. All right, so thankfully though, on Tesla we were in and out of that one at 116, so that actually did not wind up hurting us. Just funny what wound up happening with it. All right, here we go again. Apple will bid some. There we go. We got some 67s. We were just sitting right there and took that out. So we'll be able to see what's happening now with Apple. Sorry, not Tesla. Apple as it comes down and put another bid right there. Bang! Let's go, man. Let's spin it. The largest notional trade by far today is Apple. I mean, $225, the amount of shares that we had on. It's a nice move back in here. Let's just take this out as finally a short is paying your boy off. So that's really nice to see, because it's been a minute since anything really worked that well for me right now. So it's good to get back on the saddle there with that big trade, Neil, on Apple.
Yeah, great one over there on Apple. I saw in the chat there someone saying you didn't say you're going to short 165 on Google. I did. I have resistance at 165 in Alphabet. I'll get there in a quick little second. It just broke 64.
Ooh, yeah.
But ASTS, I just caught myself there, broke the 30 level to the downside. The first available opportunity after it calmed down was just in there. It bounced off a higher low at 29 even and then reclaimed the local high. So in on the way back through 30, scalps them in front of 29 even. It breaks the local high, get out, wait for the next trade. Maybe it's VWAP. I'm kind of looking short on this thing, and the reason for that is the daily chart is ridiculous. This is, whatever. I'm not going to talk fundamentals on the stock. The daily chart's insane. It's had a multi-week rally, which has been very impressive. And if this is the unwind, I want to look for opportunities to get back into the downside. New position alert as well on Rivian. As the market was breaking the highs, Rivian was breaking the low of the day. Never got to $14 for a short, but here's 13.5 breaking down. So took the break here. We're short at 46.5 on Rivian. Got to fill a 46.1 at 47. And if it breaks back above the 55, we're going to get out of that one. No break of 125 for Nvidia. And as mentioned with Alphabet, it is flying 164. Market's doing pretty good.
Yes.
This is one of the few names, as I said, that did not break out from 2 weeks ago. Close prices and then the resistance that got formed right on that panic Monday. All along, it's been holding 165, but it's not there yet. In a strong market, if you're looking to short, wait for your price because usually a strong stock is going to get to it. That's the way of the land. So 164, it's not there just yet, but it's getting pretty darn close.
Hey, Paula, small gap to 125.44. She's saying on Nvidia. Yeah, I mean that's part of the plays, man. 120. What did you say? 125.44. Okay, well, for right now, we're starting to pull back a little bit here on Nvidia, so we can be able to. Oh yeah, sorry about that. I wanted to see about Apple, sorry, but I went over to Nvidia because you had just mentioned it there. I like Nvidia for sure right now as a long, but we'll have to let the market settle down. I mean, I think you got to get back to the 50 period or back into VWAP before we do any damage on that one. Let's wait to see. The damage right now is being put on Apple. That was the fill we got. We did get Apple, sorry. There it is. So we did get that 224.40. We're right there at the 50 period moving average. So obviously as this name breaks down, we're able to grab that. So that looks like it's going to be a good fill for us right there down at the 50 period. So again, days high down there right here, right now. This will join. Nvidia is going to be P&L number 1. It looks like Apple will take out number 2 as of now. And just for you guys to know, we only have a quarter of this position left. A quarter of this position left. Obviously wish we had held a little bit more for that move. Hey, look, man, what's up, Piper? Yeah, look, we've been wearing this Palantir hat since $7. Okay, so you guys want to talk about dip buying the NASDAQ, dollar cost averaging and stuff like that. I mean, if you buy the right names, this here is up 6 times, 600% from those bottoms right there, right? So NASDAQ gaining 12, 13% on the year is great. But Palantir right now is telling everybody to hold its beer. I mean, there's going to be other stocks that look like this, but the thing about Palantir is this ain't no meme stock. This is a stock with earnings. This is a stock that has a lot of catalysts moving forward. And we've been talking about this stock for a very, very long time. So, I hope that there's a lot of you that are in this name. I can't even remember when we started doing this. I mean, this was a direct listed play by me. I got long at 920. I'll remember that price probably forever now. And then we averaged it in even lower. We've bought all the kinds of prices, man. I don't even know what my average price is, but we've bought 7s, 9s, 14s, and something. I'll have to check if we did buy something in the 20s. I'm not sure. It would have been a while ago. It definitely was not on this dip. If anything, we would have bought something back into here. So that's why I'm thinking low 20s. But, just adding to the pieces when they work, they work. Palantir is working right now. So that was a big trade, man. And I just hope it's been, a significant change, made some change to some of your lives if you did have that long right there. And let's just see if it continues to go again. It's just a trade that I had. Not that I'm recommending this for everybody, but it was a trade that I had and I like and continue to do that with PLTR. Alibaba, again, maybe a high take right there. I'm debating just getting out of this one, 83.50. So let's do that. We were risking on this trade like 30 cents or maybe not even. So 83.44. We'll get a nice little stop out right there for that dollar. I mean, Neil, what a trade on Alibaba. I know you had that as well. $1.40 right now on Alibaba. And those of you in the chat are like, wow, it does pay to hold on to stock. Yes, it does. A perfect example of that would have been Nvidia, which we did a pretty good job of. And another example is Apple, which is now 50 cents in the money as well. Alibaba right now, let's just play off that little wick. If we break through 50, let's give it a couple more pennies into the 40s and then break our neck on that one and get out. So that was a good trade there. Intel, a little bit of pieces there on the bottom part of this trade. But again, that was a good short. That's what we have now. Let's just wait to see. We already shorted 80s. We got some out there. 74s, I think, was our best trade. Then some more 78s, which is yuck. And it looks like right now we're going to break that little high one more time. And when we do, we're gone. So through 85, we're out. And Intel will be a loss.
I'm just looking at this 21 yesterday on Intel. If the same thing happens as yesterday, then I'm going to take this trade. And the same thing was, it essentially broke 21 and got to 21.05 and just did a big right-hand turn to the downside. So if I see that again, I know it's consolidating for a bit of a breakout here, but let's just see if history repeats itself on that stock. The market's still looking pretty strong. Rivian, again, because it's an easy thing to say, that's why Bob has been going for 2 days now. JD's actually having a good day too, but Bob's better. Palantir's been trending for a few days now. Nvidia's been trading forever now. The long, strong stocks, and when you find something that's relatively weak, go for the short. Like the market's taking out local highs, Rivian was just breaking the bottom. So if it gets to 1330, this is where things accelerated yesterday. And 1330, if you zoom it out here on a 15-minute chart, has been a rather significant price level, whether it's support, chop, or breakout. When it gets to that price, I want to be on the bid to take some profits. So Rivian breaking down. Obviously, the other EV name that's somewhat important is not having these issues, but that's why one is not like the other. Let's go to the desk for the crypto update and see why coin isn't breaking.
Interesting notes here. A little bit mentioned on the big desk this morning, but lots of institutional investment in some of these Bitcoin ETFs and also some Bitcoin stocks here, crypto stocks, including MSTR, MicroStrategies, coming out here that the National Pension Fund of South Korea actually has a position in MSTR. MicroStrategies worth $32.2 million. So interesting note there. Also worth noting, mentioned as well on the big desk this morning, that Goldman Sachs made a $418 million purchase worth of these Bitcoin ETFs. So interesting look here, some institutional investors and pension funds getting into this crypto-related space. Bitcoin itself continuing on a bit of a downtrend starting here in the daily chart from last Thursday, continuing to see lower highs and lower lows. Right now, just holding on to that 58,000 level, but recovering from that move down that we had yesterday afternoon. Ethereum below 26,100 here, down about 2.5%. Weakness in general across a lot of these names here. We've got BNB down about 2%, Solana down 4%, Ripple down 2%. Lots of weakness in this crypto space as we head in this week.
Here comes 125 again on Nvidia. I'm only laughing because the last time I said Nvidia is going to break 125, it pulled back to 124. And it didn't make the break. So that's what happens every now and then. You look for that even dollar that I'm sure everybody is looking, well, not everybody. Anybody that's trading Nvidia is looking at it right now, which is probably a lot of people are looking at this 125 and staring it down for a potential break. Oh, thank you for the super chat there. Charlie, Taff, huge props to the whole team. My sub 10K account has grown about 50%. That's a banger right there. I'm not on the page where I can hit the bang. So I'm going to hit that one. Congratulations to you up. Tesla options play. So great look. Tesla having a great and fantastic day. No questions asked. And
so clearly,
if you shorted, well, I haven't had the Tesla long. I mean, it is what it is,
That's what
man.
I'm saying. I mean, this guy hit it on
2 days in a row. Congratulations to you. If you shorted 125 in Nvidia, this is the second time it would have worked for you, but I'm not doing it. But it is heading to the downside off that 125 level on Nvidia. I chose to short something that was weak. Yeah. It's starting to go down, but we'll wait for that 125 when it eventually gets there.
Let's go. Yeah, we're in the building one more time here, man. Confidence getting higher now, finally. As we take another fill there on Apple, as that's 50 cents in the money, and now down goes Intel. So yeah, we're doing quite well now on this position. Not too many averages in. There's no doubt about that one. But we did get stopped out, and again, I'm getting stopped out on Intel on 5 cents. It's not. That's immature and rookie trading. Should not be doing that. So we'll just keep on holding it and see now if we do get a pullback. And that's just start to play off our levels. We're starting to get out now at the 50 period, which we like. Actually have another bid there at 69. Let's cancel that. And now let's go over to 65 and just start to play a little smarter on these names, right? You got to give it a little bit more room to go. It's just like Apple. If you get stopped out of this trade, great, that's fine. But like it did break 225 on us. We were giving this about 10 cents or so more than that. Maybe even, I think maybe probably 11s or so is generally where I break it out at. So our position right now is 95s. You know, I think we were short 89s when we had the full fill on this. So we were giving this about 20 cents worth of risk right now. So it's 40 cents. So it's a 2-to-1 banger on the biggest position by far today for me was Apple. And again, we talked about that. I said it as we had it. This is the biggest notional position. Let's see if it wants to work. And we said that we were waiting to put on shares at a level. And we chose Apple. And again, I feel kind of lucky about it, to be honest with you. The market is still here. And we've been able to get out now of about 80%, maybe a little bit more than that, of Apple. And we did really well holding out for the 200 and for the 50 period. So happy with this. Even if it retraces back up, I'll still try to hold this 20% in case there is a move down. And remember in the chat, people mentioned Free Fall Friday, and I was like, that's a fugazi. Shout out to JC. And it was just like, that doesn't happen. And we're not proving anything, but we had saw that, generally speaking, Fridays are strong days in the market.
All the worst days have been Mondays in the market since forever.
Yeah, I mean, they say yeah, historically, Mondays are the weaker days, but right there, you know, and I don't think, this is why I say this to ADR, I say it to all of you, seasonality is what it is. I mean, we had Raider Trader on yesterday, shout out to Andrew, and, you know, he was talking about seasonality in September being bad month and this and that, and that's true, but at any time, anything can happen. You know, you saw that crazy flush there. You know, we saw Nvidia up 35% since July 16th. Meta up 25%. Some of these names just in 1 month have already done what you may expect them to do over 2 years. So that's part of it as well, right? Make sure that you play momentum both ways, both on the upside and the downside, especially when we get some of these reports coming out that are just that aggressive. So, all right, that's a little bit of talk there about this market. Let's just see what's going on now with this side. Neil, you got Rivian and, ASTS.
ASTS
like
coming
that.
right back in. It's basically the same thing as before. I just want to see, it closed at 31.36, but you can see in the aftermarket there was buying off that 30 level. So keep it simple. When it wicks and fails under 30, I'm shorting into 30 and buying some in front of 29. And if it breaks the low, I want to hold it to at least 28. But the 26 level stands out as that was a big consolidation area. So I'm just doing the same thing we did last time on ASTS. And I'll have it stop to wherever the local high was. That's just above the 30 level. So when it did the fail, it came here to about 30.10. So it's a bit of a tighter stop than last time because of the way the price action is going. So scalp some out there. Make sure I'm getting profit on it. We got about 50 pennies there and end up risking 25. But until this stops doing this, every time it gets to 30, I want to try this one for a bigger breakdown. If it's not going to get to VWAP, then I want to play off this $30 level where clearly there is a lot of transaction battling happening, or whatever, for whatever word. It's probably a better word. There's a war going on at the $30 level, over, under. And if it wins to the short side, I'm really only looking short on this stock. You could probably play this the other direction too because it's holding 29, but I'm just going to keep taking these shots at this under the 30 level on ASTS. Rivian is going to give us a chance, I think, at a bit of a reload. If we fail off the previous pre-market low, 1350 here, then I want to try to get a reversal. VWAP sits here just 5 or 6 cents higher, so I do have some room to, if I don't like it there, I can just wait for us to get into VWAP. It's trend down while the market is trend up, so I think we're pretty okay with it. Yeah, Nvidia. I look up, Nvidia's at 124. So 125 has been a good short. We were looking for the breakout. Obviously, that means we're not going to get it. 220, good reversal there on Tesla. If this loses 217, it's just going to make me like Rivian a little bit more. But Tesla trying to hold the line here. And Nike, which I'm in, I tried to grab this bounce off of VWAP, didn't quite get it. It's holding 83s and giving you to 83.30, but it's not really giving me that VWAP fill. Once we get it, we'll go for the reload on Nike. Holding the highs pretty decently here. Not a huge move, but I like the continuation play for Nike.
All right, the chef is in the building right now. Shout out to Chef Joe as well. Man, first of all, we're short DraftKings. That's a new position in a banger right now, 10 cents in the money. But look what just happened to Apple. Oh, hell yeah, Neil. It's for you. And then hopefully, and then we have Intel. So right here, it's starting to go. These are the bangers that I'm sure you're waiting for. It took a little bit of time today to find them, but they're here. And they're fabulous right now. Apple, what a good pullback in right there. Basically saving my whole day goes Apple right there. So thank you, Apple, for that one. And we are back in right now. We said we were waiting for, did we get 69? No, we actually canceled our Intel position there. So let's get a bid now at 70s. There it goes. Bang on Intel finally as well. We'll say, oh, Canada today for some strange reason. But here we go. We can check out Shopify in a minute. But there it is. A nice pullback finally for Intel, man. That's it. That's a good one right there for us. Great trade on Intel, Apple as well to go. And how about our Alibaba out right now? Just checking in on it. 83.50. So kind of similar to that play. Let's get out just a little bit of DraftKings. I don't even want to look at Intel right now. Maybe it will fall in and we'll be able to be happy with that trade. But right now, DraftKings, it just pulled through the 50 period. I'm actually, whenever I trade this name, I always think like, oh man, we could have some huge moves. But it's not really doing anything right now. So DraftKings down 0.9% right now. For me, it's very, very simple trading again. That's all we're trying to do here is simply trading. Simple trading. And that is $34. There's the short right there. It's resisted it. It's down on the day. It's at the 200 period. So we'll short that all day, every day. We should have had a bid down there, but we did not have that bid. But we did have a bid down for Apple. And oh boy, was that a great fill down there for sure, down at VWAP. So we went high of the day into VWAP. We always talk about Real Trading. They're our number one sponsor. But that to me right there, boom, into VWAP, that's almost perfect for what you're trying to do as a day trader. But okay, let's go back over now to the screen actually with ADR and happening now.
Sector watch.
Both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ relatively flat on the day, and we're certainly seeing that reflected in some pretty choppy action here on the sector board. A lot of these sectors relatively flat. We've got some mixed action here in retail trade, utilities, consumer non-durables, and also here commercial services. We're noting health technology as well. Generally a little bit flatter, but PFE sharply to the downside off the open on news that one of its vaccine trials only met one of the two endpoints. So not fulfilling all of the trial goals there for PFE. Some strength here in finance. JPM pretty strong, as is BAC. We also have a couple strong names like Nvidia, AMD, some of these chips here in electronic technology. A little bit more weak here, though, in technology services. Other than Google, we've got some weakness in Meta and Microsoft. PANW here, Palo Alto Networks ahead of their earnings next Monday, also a bit weaker. Some weaker sectors across the board, though, include producer manufacturing, consumer services, health services, guys.
Costco, come on. Costco's never down. No, decent day for some of the consumer names, but not all of them. Let's just be real. But that ASTS did the same thing at 30 again, so I came right back over to it. Shorted 95s, local highs just to the quarters. It bounces off the even. Like the last couple of times, it's been bouncing off the quarters, so you're getting it tighter to 29. This time, the buyer stepped in at 29.5, so I get it a little bit tighter to that $0.50 range. The third time we've taken this trade looking for a break of 29. I don't want to be shorting, just like sometimes you don't want to chase a top to take a breakout. You'd rather be short going into it, and then if it fails the break, you're already in. That's the look I have for ASTS, and it just has more to do with this daily chart, which is nuts. And the day that it gives it up, I feel like anything is possible on ASTS, which is looking pretty weak. Tesla's pulling back into VWAP, but Nvidia, feel like if Nvidia gets to, well, cancel, first of all, cancel my breakout order on Nvidia. That's insane. Pulling back into VWAP, it looks like as well. 123.25 or so just happens to be VWAP. Let's see if it gets down in there. Knowing Nvidia, it probably doesn't even want to give us VWAP at this point.
I was waiting now for Apple. Yeah, Nvidia 123.80s. That's probably going to be a buy at some point. All right, so we're still short Intel. Intel's really withstanding this drop, but we were able to get out, I believe, what is that, VWAP? Or no, almost at VWAP. 65s there was VWAP. We got out at 67 or 68s was our best out, and now we just took another out at 74 because trying to break higher. And again, we have shares on Intel. So that's how we're able to get in and out of it like this so much. The size, you know, it just allows you to sort of piece it out, right? And of course, when it goes against you, having too much size is never a great thing. But we did take this out right there, spin it for DraftKings, put a little bit more gambling money in our pocket here today as we gamble on the stock and we gamble in real life sometimes. DraftKings, there's the trade. We got out at 78 for a bid there. So we went 90s to 78s, just 12 cents. Would obviously wanted to get a little bit lower than that, but we'll take out 20% there of DraftKings, and it's not a huge position. It's going to get bigger if we come up to 34. So that's just a little bit of an idea there of what I'm trying to do if that does get through. So that's DraftKings, just showed up on the radar there for a little bit. Apple bounced completely off VWAP there. We got a great fill. Now we only have like less than 10% left. So I'm really happy with it. Can never be less happy.
More happy.
Get the high of the day. Yeah, but just for this, you could always be more happy, but I can't be less happy than Apple as we take 225 short and get it into that VWAP trade. So that was a really good one there for me, able to withstand some of those plays. Now Obi getting all scheduled up here, 10:45. Ready to rock.
Only 15 minutes.
Google 165, like it's in the old PA here.
Coin's also about to break 205 as well.
Very happy, 2.5%. Yeah, Coinbase. Again, 58.3 on a Bitcoin now as well. We probably should have looked at Mara, but no Mara, no cry. We've got the bangers here as well.
Yeah, I pivoted from Mara to Coin just because when it started going, the Mara play for me was going to be a dip buy. When it started going, I didn't really have anything that I loved, but Coinbase sort of emerged here at the 205 level for yesterday, and then you zoom it out, it looks pretty good for a break. I mean, if we're really going to go, why not Coinbase at 205? Close a couple of Fridays ago and all that good stuff. Kind of emerging the way that Drake May emerged on the fantasy radar last night. I may or may not be trying to look at him with pick number 8 in our pool. And we'll see what happens. I hate the Patriots, but sometimes you just got to do the right thing.
Good. Yeah, he won't be there if you pass on him at 8.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking.
Because I have 11, so he'll be going there for sure. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, I'm stockpiling all the QBs. Okay, so 198.75.
I can't argue.
I just hope Marvin can drop to me somehow at 3, and if he does, then giddy up.
No.
I already have 3 quarterbacks.
No.
Well, I think so. I think Balago's Caleb.
Spirit of the league violation if Marvin Harrison doesn't go in the top 3.
Why? On that crowdsource site, he's right beside Daniels and Caleb.
I know, but he has to go top. He's going top 3.
Top 3? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. 3. I picked 3.
Oh, I thought you. Okay, never mind. I thought you picked 4.
Oh, yeah. No.
That's my.
No one's taking neighbors or I don't know, unless they take Drake May 3. But I have 3. So that's not happening.
I thought.
Yeah. It's okay. It's all good there. All right. So here we go. Right now, we are going to wait to see what happens with DraftKings. And so there it goes. We just got another fill. We said we were going to take more shares up here. So that's what we did. We took more shares up here on this name. We did not reload Intel. It did come close for us to reload it. But I'm going to put another bid at 76. This does not look like the healthy stock that I thought it would be on the short side. It's much more healthy to the long side today for Intel. It doesn't really want to drip. I mean, we saw Nvidia just pull back $1.50 off that level. I thought the weakest name of them all would have done the same thing, but it does not. Okay, and because it's not weak, that's why. DraftKings right now, let's just go back into it. We just got a 90, let me just double check the price on my fill. 92s actually, not 94s. I thought we got 94s, we got 92s. So we'll put a bid down here and see if we get something, 86, 85, and then let's put another bid even lower than that in the low 80s. Remember, I wish DraftKings would move, but it's not. So I can't just sit here and fade this play and not get something out if it comes back to the bottom. You can't short the top and not get out at the bottom. So we're going to have to try to put some bids there. Well, we did put some bids. If it falls even lower than where we are right now, then great. But we are going to watch out for a 34 break, obviously, on DraftKings. And I'm actually going to lower my shares. I had some more up here at 99. I'm actually going to lower that. I'm going to double my position right now, and it'll be similar to the shares I had on Apple. And DraftKings is a $34 stock. Apple's a $225 stock. So that should sort of tell you the confidence that I have in this position. And again, you can always ask anything like that to me, and hopefully I'll be able to describe to you what my feelings are on the position. without disclosing exact share size. So that's what's happening right now. Intel trying to pull back a little bit as well. There it is, right into the 50 period. We take 75s there, but here it comes back in a little bit. Let's see if it does want to get weak because Neil, Nvidia is making that huge move.
It's a big
down.
move.
So we shorted the wrong one. We shorted Apple. Apple's #1 P&L on the show today. So I didn't short the wrong one. It's just this one is $2 in the money, while Apple is 50 cents. So we'll take it. We won't like do anything other than that, but we'll watch to see what happens right now. We get that DraftKings fill as well. It's another chicken dinner winner.
You gotta go to if you like chicken on the menu, then you gotta go to the right spot. Maybe you're a Popeyes guy. I don't know. Maybe you're a KFC. But you know what?
Yeah, maybe both.
You darn sure aren't going to like McDonald's for the chicken, unless you're into that sort of thing. You got to go to the right store. So
there goes Apple.
As long as it's the right trade for you, you can never say that you made the wrong thing because you got to look for what was your trade. I said I'm waiting for 165 on Google.
Oh boy.
Alphabet got to 165, wicked the top at 165.06. We got short at 87. It's already at the $0.50 looking for 164.20. Wait for your stock to get to the level. If it's a strong stock and you want to go short, let it get there so that you take the one shot and then you can be good to go. ASTS, it continuing to flush the downside. Eventually you knew it was going to break this 29 if it continued that. So I'm now trailing to the 29. I have no idea where the bottom is going to be here on ASTS, but I will note it's down 9%. If it hits 10% down and catches a big bid, I'm out. It's that simple. If it goes SSR, short sell restricted, and catches a bid, I'm going to trail it at that point. So it looks like that'll be right around $28 even, as we're now $1.50 in the money on that. Google, again, just be patient, wait for it. It is starting to pull back as we go to the desk. Time for Money Talk.
DXY giving up some of yesterday's strong move upside here on the daily chart. Down on the day, though not at the lowest point we've traded on the day for the DXY. Quite a few numbers we got this morning, starting with the 8:30 numbers. Building permits and housing starts both coming in slightly lower than expected. At 10 a.m., though, we had the market initially react pretty positively to this Michigan consumer sentiment data, coming in above estimates here for the month of August, 67.8 versus 66.7 estimated and 66.4 prior. Michigan one-year inflation expectations for August coming exactly in line with expectations for this preliminary print, 2.9%. However, the 5-year inflation expectations actually a little bit higher than the estimates, 3% versus estimates of 2.9%. Next week should be a pretty interesting week for the U.S. dollar and the markets as a whole. On Wednesday, we get the start of the Jackson Hole Symposium. We also get the FOMC minutes for July being released next Wednesday. In terms of other data to watch out for today, we do have comments from Fed's Goolsbee not once but twice. First at 1:25 and then again at 4:15. Fed's Goolsbee is notably known for being a little bit hawkish, so keep an eye out, guys.
The long now on Nvidia. Look, man, we really cleaned this up. I mean, I hope that you guys are watching and paying attention and just like understanding sort of the logic that I'm trying to go through. DraftKings, we just talked about that, right? We get that push back in right now, and DraftKings becomes a big stock again here for us. So there it goes, right? I mean, it's a nice downside push there for DraftKings. We just covered some more at that level. So I feel really confident right now about those kind of plays. Intel also drips right down into VWAP. We talked about holding out for those fills, and that's exactly what we did. We got 67s and 66s down there for Intel. We just took another piece out as market's trying to retrace just a little bit. But you know what, man? No Nvidia, no cry. Bang for Nvidia. That's a great little reload right there. 122.80s long now on Nvidia. Get that note back in right there. There we go. Here we go. Let's go. 123. Boom. There it is, Neil. That's a good one there. I hope you pick some of that up for you guys out there as well. It's a great trade back in there for Nvidia. Put it back on. Hey, look, man, now Nvidia's trying to mess with Apple a little bit. See which one comes into the #1 P&L stock here today. There it is, Apple with a drip down into 224 again right now. That was that fill that we wanted. Again, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Let's go. It's Trader TV Live. You're now rocking with the best.
Rocking with the best of us. That's what it's all about here. That's why we love it. Nvidia, a great stock. I mean, the market's pulling back in here, and I'm noticing the bid just did not get caught where I'm short. So I'm kind of liking look, Google was really strong, but I just looked over at the market, bounce 50 points there on the NASDAQ, and do this right back to where we were when we fell, but you're still underneath the 165 on Google. So I think this might have a little bit more room to go. I did take another leg out. When I saw the market start to bounce off, I got on the bid right away on Alphabet here and grabbed some out in the 30s. But with us not continuing that move back up to the highs when the market goes, I think we want to hang on to this, maybe even get a reload at the 165. So we had to wait for this price to come in. We always talk about have a plan of action and then try to execute that plan. The last 2 weeks, Google 165. And it's not always gotten there or given you much of a chance, but the way the market was screaming today, it screamed into that price. It was at 64. Someone asked me, do you want the short at Google 165? I'm like, yeah, it's at 64. It just got to 65. First red candle of the day on the 15-minute. And it hasn't even closed red yet. That's how strong Alphabet has been. So you got to pick your spots. I did trail out of ASTS. I've gone 3 for 3 on it, but it hasn't really done that big dump. Might just be that ASTS is like $7 and that's enough. And it's going to find a consolidation at these levels. But we'll keep taking pot shots if it continues to settle. Rivian got a reload 13.5. Still think 13.3. That support level is going to be pretty good here. But it's starting to work its way back into the downside. I might pull the bid at that absolute low. This is a weak stock. Let's see if we can't get the 13.35 fill. See how far this one wants to go down. And then the other thing that we're still holding on to, Nike, bit of a nice consolidation. No VWAP. No. I didn't get the fill of it. I missed the fill at VWAP, but it's now trending pretty decently to the upside. It hasn't broken the 83 half yet, but I do like the way that this is still holding on to trends. So if we lose VWAP, we're out on Nike, but not a heck of a lot happening on that stock. I like the fact that it's still trying to go up, but it'd be nicer if it was moving just a little bit more over here. So Alphabet, we're going to hang on to. If this gets to VWAP, that's an out for me. Definitely want to respect that, but that's not where it turned before. It was here at 163.5. So I look at the support and resistance a little bit more than I care about VWAP on a pullback like this. So get down, Alphabet. Although in the long term, we always want to go up.
Yeah, like that stock. Good trade there. We're like the kids say, man, my kids say, Dad, you're so savage. I mean, look at that bid right there, 122.60. We're doing it again here on Nvidia. There's another 30 cents just in 2 minutes on Nvidia, just picking up those bids and then waiting to see what happens right now. 122.98 coming through again. But you know what? That's all good. Let's just figure out what's for lunch. All right, right here we got the email. Let's figure it out right now. Ooh, okay, it's not bad. This is not bad. This is a decent lunchtime meal. We talked about that hoisin chicken that my wife threw down for me the other day, and then that happened to be the lunch yesterday with the broccolini. Today's a little bit, we get those 98s on Nvidia. We are getting lighter and lighter on this position. Wow, what a day here again today. I know we always say that, but like, I'm sure you can see this. And this is the thing and Obi, by the way, thanks for last night. That was a lot of fun. I think we had a lot of good time. Learned a lot about Obi and all that stuff. So that was a lot of fun. But anyways, at the end of the day, you got to trade what you like. And there's Nvidia with a nice move right there back up to the upside. 30 cents in the money there, 15 on DraftKings, $1 on Apple. Normally, those of you that are in the chat that are like, yeah, it's always chicken. So this guy's going to say chicken. I mean, we already talked about Popeyes and KFC and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? In the spirit of not saying chicken, today I think it's a good one. I'm going to say awesome on this. I've seen it before many times here, and it's been well received. It is an Italian sausage on a bun with a side potato salad. If that's not a picnic and a lunch meal, then, tickle me. My color of my shirt. That's a good one right there. I like that. So hopefully everybody will enjoy it. We just put on, again, just this trade alone that we have on right now on Nvidia is a banger. And we've already gotten some out. Let's put some more respect on this name. Now 50 cents in the money there on another reload. So like when you're looking and you're seeing like, this trade's $1 in the money, that's fine. That's just one piece. We're scalping these things out all the time. So like we make right there 122 out 123.75. So that's like $1.75. But then you just, we're slowly putting back on. Like we reload there, then you take 50 cents. You reload there and you take 50 cents. So it just like it's compounding and compiling up to be creating Nvidia just to be now Nvidia and Apple are almost dollar for dollar right now, going to be the top P&L names on the show. So congratulations so far here today for everybody that's traded these names. And there's been some great trades. Obviously, that Google trade looks like it's still going to be able to work out. This DraftKings trade. And again, we talked about this very, very simply put, what the style was going to be and what we were going to do on that. So there's DraftKings. Just a really good day, honestly, as Apple right now is $1 in the money. Let's see if we can hold that. Is what it is today.
Yeah, it's been a great one so far this morning. Let's hope we can keep the momentum going because it's been a green one for the market early, although not actually green on the day. Someone just asked me in the chat, do you think this market is a short squeeze? And my answer is, if it was, it already happened the last 2 weeks. We're getting 2% every day. Well, maybe not literally every day, but that's what it felt like we were getting. The Nasdaq's down 0.3% right now. You know, like I know we rallied after that big, it's not a big flush, a little bit of a flush into the open, and then we rallied after the open. But that's being reversed here. So this is not, I don't think it's a squeeze Friday. I don't think it's been a free fall Friday. I think it was longs at the open, the great trends, and then since then you've had some really good pullback opportunities that you just had to wait for. So a little bit of something for everybody. Now I'm in the mode of, let's see if we can get VWAP or in here on Google. And I just looked at this and realized, even if I wasn't short Google at 165, since it held VWAP, look at the trend hold and look at the trend break. I'd probably have this exact same trade at the exact same price with a different style of entry. And now looking at it there, it's like, yeah, I probably could have just said, hey, that's 2 trades setting up, not just one. Go double it up. But that's a mean reversion, which a lot of times we like into VWAP. We'll see if it happens. Rivian's cooking to the downside. I did want to go back over. We haven't really... I did short Tesla once, and we took some profit, $0.50, and then that stopped out for a little bit less than $0.50, and we were holding on to some, so ends up being a flat trade for me. Look where it bounced, or is attempting to bounce right back at the 215 level. Shout out to Danielle Shea. She's like, that's the key price on Tesla. It needs to close above 215. Went all the way to 220, and suddenly we're under threat of not closing above this 215 level for Tesla. That's a huge mover, $10, and now it's chilling out in the middle. It's already 11 o'clock, but you guys get a treat. You've got ADR, you've got OBI for the midday. It is Learn to Trade. Go get them. We're back at 2 o'clock. What a day.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I am ADR. This is OBI, and this is how to trade. And